Hey, where are you right now? Who knows? Don't mess with me. There's nothing of ours in the house. What's going on? Well, I took all my stuff and left. Huh? I don't get it. Why would you do that? Well, we got divorced. So it's not strange for me to leave, right? Divorced? Yeah, I filed for divorce. My name is Claire. I'm 35 years old and work in an office. I've been married to my husband, Evan, for 5 years. Evan used to work for a company, but 2 years ago, he quit and started his own business. Unfortunately, the business hasn't been doing well, and we've been losing money for the past 2 years. Thankfully, my income is enough to keep us afloat. Our relationship is okay, nothing special, but not bad either. The real problem is my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, who live in Evan's family home. They treat me horribly. Every time I see them, they make fun of me and always find something to complain about. It makes me feel sad and stressed. Evan and I live in an apartment that's about a 10-minute drive from his family's home, and he often takes me there. In the beginning, I went along for his sake, but their bullying got worse over time, so I started talking back. Even then, they didn't stop. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law always try to get money from me too. Hey Claire, I need $500 for a friend's birthday present. Can you give me the money? $500? What are you buying? A trip, and I'm going too. No way, that's like I'm giving the gift, and I can't afford $500. You're so stingy, Claire. Are you a miser? Evan supports you, and you can't even do this? Excuse me, I'm the one supporting him. My husband hasn't contributed a single cent to our living expenses in the past year. And you, sister-in-law, should get a job. You're a grown adult still living at home doing nothing. Why does my mother-in-law allow her to live like this? I wanted to say all of this, but my husband interrupted me. Hey Claire, I need $500 for a friend's birthday present. Wow, Evan, you're such a thoughtful son, said his mom. Then my sister-in-law added, can I have $300 for something I want? My husband quickly replied, sure, Claire has $300 in her wallet, right? Just give it to her. Without hesitation, my husband made me hand over the money to my sister-in-law. He acted like it was no big deal. He even started saying things like, thanks to me, we can live such a luxurious life. I couldn't believe the things coming out of his mouth. Later, in the car, I confronted him. Why do you always show off like that? I have my pride as the eldest son, he said, and the argument only got worse from there. He added, once you start giving them money, they'll expect more. But what's wrong with making my mom happy? I replied, we can't live so extravagantly. Do you realize you haven't contributed to our living expenses at all? So what? We got a nice bonus this summer. Don't rely on that. We need to save that money. Since then, my husband and I have been constantly fighting. I don't understand how he can act so arrogant when he's not even helping with the bills. Why does he feel the need to always be in control when he's not pulling his weight? My husband's bad qualities were becoming more obvious over time. I started to think, why should I do things I hate for someone like him? So, when he recently said, hey, we're going to my mom's, I told him, go by yourself. He responded with some strange reasoning. It's normal for the wife to come along too. I shot back, well, then you must be abnormal, since you never come when I visit my parents. He got annoyed, clicked his tongue, and said, do whatever you want, then left to go to his parents' house alone. A weekend without my mother-in-law and sister-in-law? It felt so relaxing and peaceful. With some free time, I worked on my dream, buying my own home. I researched online, ordered pamphlets, and imagined how I'd decorate my future house. I spent hours looking at furniture and thinking about how I'd arrange everything in my new place. Time flew by, and soon it was evening, and my husband came back. Oh, welcome back, I said. He didn't respond. Was he still mad? How childish. Shouldn't he act more mature? I wasn't interested in pleasing him, so I didn't try to make conversation. Instead, I just started making dinner. Suddenly, he spoke up. You've been acting pretty bold lately, huh? Refusing to meet my mom and the rest of them. Bold? We're equals in this marriage. Besides, your mom and sister are always picking on me, so I don't want to go there anymore. That's exactly what I'm talking about, acting cheeky. Normally, wives listen to their husbands. If you can't do that, we'll get divorced. Divorce? Yeah, divorce. Surprised? You don't want me to divorce you, do you? But I'm really angry at you. I've already signed my part of the papers, ready to submit anytime. I'll let this slide for now, but if you defy me again, it'll be immediate divorce. Think about that. With a smirk, he added, I'm going to take a bath. Hurry up and make dinner. As soon as I heard my husband was in the bath, I couldn't help but celebrate quietly. Yes, now I can leave him whenever I want. I made dinner in a great mood. From that moment on, I focused on saving money. I was almost ready to make the down payment on my new house. It was hard to hide my excitement, but I managed to stay calm around my husband. Finally, I bought a house in my own name. All that was left was to finalize the divorce and leave the home I shared with my husband. I started packing my things little by little, without him noticing, and sent them to my parents' house. I had already told my parents everything, and they understood my situation. When my husband went to his parents' house one weekend, I moved all my stuff into my new house. It was perfect. The house was just as I had imagined, both inside and out. The smell of the new home filled the air, and I spent the whole day enjoying it. That night, my husband called. Hey, where are you? Where could I be? I replied, not giving anything away. Don't mess with me. There's nothing left in the house. What's going on? Well, I took all my stuff and left. What? Why would you do that? I don't understand. Since we're divorced, it's only natural for me to move out, right? Huh? Divorced? Yes, I submitted the divorce papers. We're strangers now. Don't mess with me. I won't accept that. But you're the one who said we could divorce anytime. As a businessman, you should take responsibility for your words. Anyway, this is the end for us. With that, I hung up. Finally, I was free from him. That night, I slept peacefully for the first time in a long while. Living in my new house was everything I dreamed of, and every morning I woke up feeling refreshed, ready to enjoy my new life. Today, I decided to invite my parents to my new home for the first time. As I was cooking in the kitchen, they arrived with a bottle of celebratory sake. They were both surprised to see my new house, and the three of us toasted to celebrate. Even though it was a bit early, we started a small party. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Who could that be? I wondered. When I checked the intercom, I was shocked to see my ex-husband, ex-mother-in-law, and ex-sister-in-law. Why are you here? I asked. We're going to live here from today, my ex-husband said. My father is in the hospital, but when he's discharged, he'll live here too. Open the door right now. No way. That's ridiculous. Why would I let you in? Please leave my property immediately. Then my ex-mother-in-law stepped forward and said, You cheeky girl, what's yours is mine. Open the door now. I calmly replied, What are you talking about? I'm single now. Huh? What do you mean? She asked, confused. Did your son not tell you? We're already divorced. We're strangers now. The ex-mother-in-law and ex-sister-in-law turned to my ex-husband, who seemed to be explaining something, probably trying to deny it. I couldn't hear exactly what he was saying, but it didn't matter. Anyway, you can't come in, please leave, I said, then hung up the intercom. My ex-husband started banging on the door, shouting, Open up, I want to talk. As I was thinking about how to get rid of him, a police car pulled up in front of my house. The police quickly took him into custody. When I opened the door, I saw my ex-husband being pinned to the ground, resisting and shouting, It hurts, why is this happening to me? My ex-mother-in-law and ex-sister-in-law were standing there, completely shocked after learning about the divorce. Although they weren't arrested, they were escorted away in the police car. After watching my ex-husband and his family get taken away by the police, I went back inside the house. I wondered, who called the cops? Then, my dad made a peace sign. In situations like this, you call the police right away, he said, always calm and collected. Trust my dad. We resumed our celebration with more drinks. As for how my ex-husband found out where I lived, it turns out he followed me home from work. He even confessed to stalking me, so if he shows up again, he'll be arrested immediately. Knowing his timid personality, I doubt he'll come near the house again. I also got a restraining order against his family, just in case. After the divorce, my ex-husband's business continued to struggle, and he fell deeper into debt. Without my money to rely on, he and his family had no income, especially with his father still in the hospital. Eventually, they had to sell their house. It really felt like they got what they deserved. On the other hand, I invited my parents to live with me in my new home. They're so happy and proud of me, saying I've been a good daughter. They're enjoying life in the house, and we're living together as a happy, close-knit family. I plan to continue cherishing my parents and enjoying this new chapter of our lives.
The invitation sat in my inbox like a ticking bomb. Annual Brooks Family Beach House Reunion. Save the date. My sister Trinity's cheerful mass email might as well have been addressed to everyone but me. I knew how this would play out, the same way it had for the past 5 years. My name is Quinn, and I'm the family disappointment. At least, that's what my mother Iris never fails to remind me, whether through pointed silence or barely concealed sighs of disapproval. "You're not going to let it get to you again this year, are you?" Remington asked, peering over my cubicle wall. His concerned expression made me quickly close the email. "Of course not," I lied, forcing a smile. "Just another day at the office." But it wasn't just another day. The family beach house held every meaningful memory from my childhood. Before things changed, before I became the outsider. I remembered the summer I turned 12, when everything shifted. "Quinn, darling, why don't you help in the kitchen?" Mom had said, while Trinity got to join Dad's business meetings on the deck. "Nelson, sweetheart, go show the neighbors your new project." While I sat alone, reading books they deemed a waste of time, my phone buzzed, a text from my childhood friend Savannah. "Let me guess, another reunion email?" I typed back, "Bingo. Want to bet how long before Mum calls to explain why there's limited space this year?" The answer came within the hour. My mother's name flashed across my phone screen, right on schedule. "Quinn, dear," she started, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness. "About the reunion." "Let me save you the trouble, Mom," I cut in, surprising myself with my steadiness. "The house is too full, right? Trinity's kids need their space? Or is it Nelson's new girlfriend who needs the extra room this year?" The silence on the other end was deafening. "Well, you know how it is," she finally managed. "Trinity's children are at such an important age." I glanced at the promotion letter sitting on my desk, the one I hadn't told them about. Senior Vice President at 35, the youngest in the company's history. "Yeah, Mom, I know exactly how it is." After hanging up, I walked to Lance's office, my mentor and boss for the past decade. He looked up from his computer, reading my expression instantly. "Family?" he asked, gesturing to the chair across from him. I nodded, sinking into the seat. "Sometimes I wonder why I still let it affect me." "Because you're human," he said simply. "But you know what the best revenge is?" "Success?" I offered with a weak smile. "No," he leaned forward, eyes twinkling. "The best revenge is becoming so successful they can't ignore you anymore. Speaking of which, have you considered my proposal about the Richardson merger?" I pulled out my tablet, pushing thoughts of family aside. "Actually, I've been working on some numbers. What if we approached it from a different angle?" For the next hour, we dove into work, my real comfort zone. As I walked Lance through my strategy, I felt the familiar surge of confidence return. This was where I belonged, where I excelled. Later that evening, as I drove home, Savannah called. "You know what you need?" she said, without preamble. "A plan." "A plan for what?" "To show them exactly what they've been missing. You're not that scared little girl anymore, Quinn. You're a force to be reckoned with." I stopped at a red light, watching the city lights blur through my windshield. "What's the point? They've made it clear where I stand." "The point is, you deserve better. And maybe it's time they realize that too." After hanging up, I sat in my parked car, staring at my luxury apartment building. 10 years ago, I'd started as an intern, determined to prove everyone wrong. Now I had everything they said I'd never achieve: success, respect, independence. Everything except family acceptance. My phone pinged with another email, Trinity sharing photos of last year's reunion. Smiling faces, inside jokes, shared memories I wasn't part of. But instead of the usual hurt, I felt something different stirring inside me. Determination. Opening my laptop, I pulled up the real estate website I'd been monitoring. The beach house's market value had dropped significantly in the recent economic downturn. The same beach house our parents could no longer afford to maintain. "Time for a different kind of investment," I whispered to myself, clicking the contact agent button. Maybe Savannah was right. Maybe it was time for a plan. Not for revenge, I told myself, but for justice, the kind that comes with compound interest. The Richardson merger isn't just about combining assets, I explained, standing before the board of directors. It's about redefining market presence. My laser pointer highlighted key projections on the screen behind me. Remington, sitting at the far end of the conference table, gave me a subtle thumbs up. After countless late nights preparing this presentation, we both knew how crucial this moment was. And you're certain about these numbers? Mr. Richardson himself leaned forward, his weathered face scrutinizing the data. I stake my reputation on them, I replied without hesitation. More importantly, I stake the future of both our companies on them. Lance cleared his throat from his seat beside Mr. Richardson. Quinn has never steered us wrong before. Her track record speaks for itself. The meeting concluded 2 hours later with handshakes and signed preliminary agreements. As the board members filed out, Lance pulled me aside. Outstanding work, he beamed. Though I have to ask, why didn't you mention the promotion opportunity in Hong Kong? This merger's success practically guarantees you the position. My stomach tightened. The international division head role, a career-defining opportunity that happened to coincide with the upcoming family reunion dates. Still considering my options, I said carefully. Back at my desk, Remington perched on the edge, coffee in hand. Spill it. What's really holding you back? This is everything you've worked for. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Trinity's name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. That's what's holding her back, Savannah announced, appearing with lunch bags. Family drama, as usual. I thought we were meeting at the cafe, I said, grateful for the interruption. Changed my mind. Besides, I wanted to see the aftermath of your big presentation. She distributed sandwiches, then fixed me with a knowing look. So, Hong Kong? News travels fast, I muttered. In this case, good news should travel fast, Remington insisted. You can't seriously be considering passing this up because of them? My phone buzzed again. A text from Trinity. Mom's asking if you got the reunion email. Please respond. Savannah grabbed my phone. Oh, hell no. You know what this is? This is them realizing they can't ignore you anymore. The family gossip vine must have caught wind of your success. Give me my phone back. I reached for it, but she held it away. Not until you promise to stop letting them dictate your life choices. I'm not... I started to protest, but Remington cut me off. Quinn, remember last month's charity gala? When you commanded that room full of CEOs? That's who you really are, not the invisible middle child they made you feel like. My phone buzzed a third time. Nelson this time. Hey sis, long time. Got a minute to chat? Suddenly, everyone wants to talk, I said dryly. Because you're becoming impossible to ignore? Savannah grinned. Now, about Hong Kong. The timing, I began. Is perfect, Remington finished. Show them exactly what they're missing while they're playing happy family at their precious beach house. Lance appeared in my office doorway. Quinn, Mr. Richardson wants to discuss implementation strategies over dinner tonight. I stood, straightening my jacket. Text me the details. After Lance left, Savannah raised an eyebrow. Look at you, power moves only. It's just dinner, I said, but couldn't help smiling. Just dinner with one of the most influential men in the industry, Remington corrected, while your family probably thinks you're still pushing papers in some entry-level position. My phone lit up with another message, Mom this time. Quinn, dear, please call when you can. Important family matters to discuss. Savannah read it over my shoulder and snorted. Important family matters? Like how they're running out of excuses to exclude you? I picked up my presentation materials, mind already shifting to the dinner ahead. They can keep their excuses. I've got an empire to build. That's my girl, Remington grinned. Speaking of building things, have you made an offer on the beach house yet? Tomorrow, I said, checking my makeup in my compact mirror. The agent says we're the only serious buyers in this market. Perfect timing, Savannah sang, right before they announced this year's reunion details. As I gathered my things for the Richardson dinner, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. My family might have mastered the art of making me feel small, but in this world, my world, I was anything but. "Hey," Remington called as I headed out, "don't forget who you are in there. Show them what Quinn Unleashed looks like." I smiled, thinking of the beach house listing waiting in my inbox. "Oh, I plan to show everyone exactly who I am." "Congratulations, Ms. Brooks. The beach house is yours." The real estate agent slid the keys across her desk, their metal surface gleaming under the fluorescent lights. My hand trembled slightly as I picked them up. These small pieces of metal represented more than just property ownership. They were the keys to my past and, more importantly, my future. "I can't believe you actually did it," Savannah whispered beside me, squeezing my arm. The agent smiled professionally. "The paperwork will be processed by end of business day. Given the current market conditions, you've made an incredibly shrewd investment." Walking out of the office, I held the keys so tight they left impressions in my palm. My phone buzzed. Lance calling. "Tell me you closed the deal," he said without preamble. "Just sign the papers." Perfect timing. "The Hong Kong position is yours if you want it. Board approved this morning." I stopped walking, causing Savannah to bump into me. "Already? I thought the decision wasn't until next month." "Your performance at the Richardson dinner sealed it. Speaking of which, he specifically requested you lead the merger transition team." Savannah was practically bouncing with excitement, having heard both sides of the conversation. As I hung up, she grabbed my shoulders. "Okay, this is literally perfect. You own their precious beach house and you're about to become an international executive. Please tell me you're going to milk this for all it's worth." My phone chimed with a text from Trinity. "Family meeting this weekend about the reunion. Mom insists you come. Please?" "Oh, this is too good," Savannah cackled. "They have no idea you own their reunion venue." "Neither does the agent," I reminded her. "I made sure the purchase went through my corporation name." "Sneaky. I love it." She linked her arm through mine as we walked to the car. "So, what's the plan?" Before I could answer, Remington called. "Lance just told me the news. Both pieces of news. You're going to accept Hong Kong, right?" "I haven't decided," I said, putting him on speaker as we drove. "What's to decide? It's perfect. You can run the merger from Asia, build your international profile, and let your family stew in their regrets." "Speaking of stewing," Savannah chimed in, "Quinn just got summoned to a family meeting about the reunion." "No way," Remington laughed. "Are you going?" I turned onto the coastal road, heading toward the beach house, my beach house. "Actually, yes, I think it's time for a visit." The familiar drive felt different now. Every curve in the road, every glimpse of ocean between the trees belonged to me in a way it never had before. I parked in front of the sprawling Victorian home, its weathered blue paint and white trim exactly as I remembered. Savannah whistled low. "I forgot how gorgeous this place is. No wonder they're desperate to keep the reunions going." Walking up the steps, I unlocked the door with my new keys. The house smelled of sea salt and memories, summer nights, family dinners, whispered conversations. But now, underneath it all, was the sweet scent of victory. My phone rang. "Mom." "Quinn, are you coming this weekend? Trinity said she texted you." "Actually, Mom, I'm at the beach house right now." Silence. Then, "What? How? The realtor said it was sold." "Did she? Interesting." I walked through the living room, trailing my fingers along the familiar walls. "Don't worry about it. I'll see you this weekend." I hung up before she could respond. Savannah was recording everything on her phone, barely containing her glee. "That was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Did you hear her voice crack?" "Send me that video," Remington said through the speaker. I need it for posterity. I opened the French doors to the deck, breathing in the ocean air. You know what's funny? They always said I didn't understand the value of family tradition, but I'm the one who saved it. By buying it out from under them, Savannah added with a smirk. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying something, I said, watching the waves crash below. It's about preserving it on your own terms. My phone buzzed again. Trinity, Nelson, and Mom in rapid succession. I ignored them all. So, Remington's voice crackled through the speaker. What's the next move, boss? I smiled, picturing the upcoming family meeting. Now we prepare for a reunion they'll never forget. Want company this weekend? Savannah offered. I make an excellent witness. No, I said, pulling out my laptop. This is something I need to do alone. But first, I have a Hong Kong acceptance letter to write. Standing on my deck, watching my ocean, I felt the last pieces of my plan falling into place. The scared little girl who used to hide in this house's corners was gone. In her place stood someone they'd never expected, someone they'd have to acknowledge at last. The sound of car doors slamming jolted me from my laptop. I'd been working on merger documents all morning, enjoying the ocean view from my new home office, when the familiar voices drifted up from the driveway. Mom, I'm telling you, Quinn was acting weird on the phone, Trinity's voice carried through the open windows. She's always weird, Nelson replied. Remember last Christmas? I closed my laptop slowly, heart pounding. They were early. The family meeting wasn't supposed to be until tomorrow. Through the window, I watched them unloading their cars like they owned the place, which, of course, they no longer did. My phone buzzed. Remington. Game time? They're here early, I texted back. Wish me luck. Show no mercy, came his instant reply. I heard the rattle of keys at the front door, followed by confused voices. Mom, your key isn't working, Trinity called out. That's impossible. I just had it checked last month. I walked downstairs, each step measured and deliberate in my Louboutins. The sound of my heels on the hardwood made the voices outside fall silent. Opening the door, I smiled at their shocked faces. Looking for something? Quinn? Mom's hand flew to her chest. What are you doing here? How did you get in? I live here, I said simply, stepping aside. Please come in. My house is your house, literally. The silence that followed was delicious. Trinity's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Nelson dropped his duffel bag. What do you mean you live here? Mom finally managed. I walked to the kitchen knowing they'd follow. Coffee? I just made a fresh pot. Colombian roast. I know how much you love it, Mom. Quinn. Trinity's voice had that elder sister edge I knew so well. What's going on? I poured myself a cup, enjoying their confusion. I thought the family meeting was tomorrow. Did I miss a memo? Oh, wait. I smiled over my cup. I guess I'm not usually included in those. Stop playing games, Nelson snapped. How are you even in here? This is our family house. Actually, I pulled out my phone, bringing up the property documents. It's my house now, has been for 2 weeks. Would you like to see the deed? Mom sank into a kitchen chair. That's impossible. We would have known. Would you? When was the last time any of you asked what I was doing with my life? I leaned against the counter, savoring their expressions. Coffee? No, your loss. It's imported. Trinity grabbed my phone, scrolling through the documents. This can't be real. How could you possibly afford? The same way I afford my penthouse apartment, my vacation home in Aspen, and my car collection, I said casually. I work. Remember work? That thing you all said I'd never figure out? Your what? Nelson choked. A car door slammed outside again. Dad's voice boomed through the open door. Why is everyone standing around? Help me with these groceries. In here, Dad, I called out. Let me help you with those. He appeared in the doorway, bags in hand, and froze. Quinn? What's going on? Family meeting came early. I took the bags from him, unpacking them efficiently. Though I should point out, next time you might want to check with me before buying groceries for my house. Your house? He looked at Mom, who was still sitting in shocked silence. Perhaps we should all sit down, I suggested, gesturing to the dining room. I believe we have some catching up to do. They followed me like dazed sheep, settling around the table where we'd had countless family meals I was often excluded from, relegated to the kitchen to help with dishes. So, I settled at the head of the table, Dad's old spot, about this year's reunion. You can't just buy our family home, Trinity burst out. This is our tradition. Funny thing about traditions, I said, examining my manicure. They're only as strong as the people maintaining them. When the bank called about foreclosure proceedings, where was your tradition then? Mom's head snapped up. How did you know about that? I know everything, Mom. I know about the missed payments, the second mortgage, the tax liens. I know because, unlike some people, I do my research before making investment decisions. My phone buzzed again. Savannah. Need backup? All good. Operation Karma in progress, I texted back. Looking up at my family's stunned faces, I smiled. Now, about those reunion plans, I was thinking we might need to make some changes this year. After all, I gestured to the ocean view through the windows. New house, new rules. The look of dawning comprehension on their faces was better than any merger deal I'd ever closed. And we were just getting started. You could have told us, Trinity said, breaking the tense silence that had fallen over the dining room, about your success, your career, everything. Could I? I raised an eyebrow. When? Between being uninvited to family gatherings or during those holiday calls that never came? Dad cleared his throat. Now, Quinn, that's not entirely fair. Fair, I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make Mom flinch. Let's talk about fair. Remember my college graduation? When you all skipped it because Nelson had a soccer game? That was different, Mom protested weakly. Nelson was up for a scholarship, which he didn't get, I finished. Meanwhile, I was accepting my MBA with honors. Not that any of you knew, since you never asked. My phone buzzed. Lance. Hong Kong announcement goes public tomorrow. Want me to delay? Perfect timing. Proceed as planned. I texted back. Nelson leaned forward. So what now? You're going to hold this over our heads? Make us beg to use our own family house? Your family house? I stood, walking to the renovated kitchen. Come see what your family house looked like when I bought it. The rotting deck boards, the leaking roof, the outdated wiring that was one storm away from burning this place down. I opened a folder on the counter, spreading out before and after photos. 60,000 in repairs just to make it livable. Another 100,000 in renovations. Where was your family pride then? Trinity picked up a photo, her face paling. We didn't know it was this bad. Because none of you bothered to check. You just assumed everything would magically take care of itself, like you assumed I'd never amount to anything. Dad stood up suddenly. That's enough. We may have made mistakes, but you're still our daughter. Am I? I turned to face him. Because from where I'm standing, I've been your afterthought for 20 years. My phone lit up with a news alert. The Hong Kong announcement had leaked early. Mom's phone buzzed seconds later, her eyes widening as she read. Vice President of International Operations? She whispered. Quinn, you're moving to Hong Kong? Among other things, I smiled, pouring myself more coffee. The merger I just closed is worth more than this house and everything in it. Trinity grabbed Mom's phone, reading aloud. Youngest executive in company history, revolutionary merger strategy, projected to triple market share. Impossible, Nelson muttered. You're just Quinn. Just Quinn, I repeated softly. Funny how that works, isn't it? The daughter you never believed in now owns your precious beach house and runs a global division. Dad sank back into his chair. Why didn't you tell us? I did. Every time I tried to talk about work, you changed the subject to Trinity's kids or Nelson's latest venture. Every achievement, every promotion met with polite disinterest. My phone buzzed again. Remington. Stocks up 12% on the Hong Kong news. You're trending on LinkedIn. Mom was still staring at her phone. These numbers, Quinn, these are more money than you can imagine, I supplied. Yes, they are. And that's just the beginning. So what happens now? Trinity asked quietly. With the reunion? With everything? I walked to the windows, looking out at the ocean I now owned. Now we do things differently. The reunion will happen, but under new management. Meaning, Nelson challenged. Meaning I've already booked the top floor of the Four Seasons for everyone. The beach house, I turned back to them, needs some private time with its new owner. You're kicking us out? Mom's voice cracked. No, Mom, I'm showing you what it feels like to be excluded. The difference is I'm doing it with 5-star accommodations and an ocean view. Dad stood again, this time more slowly. We deserved that, all of it. But Quinn, are you sure this is what you want? What I want? I looked at each of them in turn. What I want is 20 years of missed birthdays and ignored accomplishments. What I want is an explanation for why I was never good enough. But since I can't have those things, I pulled out a stack of hotel reservations, sliding them across the table. I'll settle for watching you all realize exactly what you missed out on. Trinity picked up a reservation, gasping at the sweet description. This must have cost less than an hour of my new salary, I cut her off. Consider it a parting gift before Hong Kong. How long? Mom asked, her voice small. How long will you be gone? I smiled, thinking of all the family events I'd missed over the years. Long enough for you to understand what absence feels like. Now, shall we discuss those new reunion rules? The silence that followed was heavy with 2 decades of regret, none of it mine. The Four Seasons lobby buzzed with activity as my family checked into their suites. I stood back, watching Trinity's kids race around the marble columns, while Nelson awkwardly tried to impress the concierge with small talk. Your car is ready, Ms. Quinn. The valet approached with a discreet bow. Mom's head snapped around at his deferent tone. I saw her eyes widen as she took in my Bentley waiting outside. Quinn, she called out, hurrying over. We need to talk. Properly talk. Actually, I have a meeting. I checked my watch. The merger doesn't pause for family drama. Please, she touched my arm, the first physical contact we'd had in years. Just coffee? 20 minutes? I studied her face, noting the new wrinkles around her eyes. Fine, the rooftop lounge, 15 minutes. Upstairs, Mom fidgeted with her coffee cup while I answered urgent emails about Hong Kong. Finally, she spoke. I didn't know you were so accomplished. Clearly, I set my phone down, though you never asked. We thought... She paused, searching for words. After you dropped out of law school, I didn't drop out, I corrected sharply. I got accepted to business school instead, a full scholarship to Harvard, which you'd know if you'd bothered to read any of my letters. Your father and I, we just wanted you to have a stable career. Like Trinity's law practice that she never actually started, or Nelson's string of failed startups that you kept funding. The door opened and Savannah walked in, stopping short when she saw us. Oh, sorry, I can come back. No, stay, I waved her over. Mom was just explaining why they never believed in me. Mrs. Brooks, Savannah nodded coolly. Long time no see. Though I guess you wouldn't remember me from all those holidays I spent with Quinn while you were at Trinity's house. Mom had the grace to look embarrassed. Savannah, of course I remember you. Save it. Savannah sat down. I'm just here to finalize the Hong Kong details with Quinn. You know, for her massive promotion that you all ignored. My phone buzzed. Trinity. Mom okay? She looks upset. She's fine, I texted back, learning some hard truths. Quinn, Mom's voice was barely a whisper. Were we really that terrible? Savannah snorted, but I held up a hand. You weren't terrible, Mom. You were indifferent, which was worse. We can fix this, she pleaded. Now that you know I'm successful, I finished. Now that I have money and power and influence, that's not fixing things. That's just changing your mind because I proved you wrong. The door opened again. Dad this time. Your mother's been gone a while. Oh. Join us. I gestured to an empty chair. We're having a lovely chat about family dynamics. He sat heavily. Quinn, about the beach house. Already done, I cut him off. The back taxes are paid, the liens are cleared, and the property is fully renovated. You're welcome. That's not, he started. Not what you meant? I smiled tightly. No, it never is. Savannah opened her laptop. Quinn, we need to finalize your Hong Kong housing allowance. They're offering 3 options. The penthouse in Victoria Harbour, I said, without looking. I already decided. Mom's coffee cup clattered. Penthouse? Did you think international executives live in studio apartments? Savannah asked sweetly. My phone lit up with another text. Nelson. Family dinner tonight? My treat? Can't, I replied. Board dinner at Le Bernardin. Quinn? Dad leaned forward. We know we messed up, but pushing us away now, buying the beach house, moving to Hong Kong, is this really the answer? I stood, smoothing my skirt. The beach house isn't about pushing you away. It's about taking control of something you never thought I deserved. As for Hong Kong, I smiled. That's just good business. When will we see you? Mom's voice cracked. I'll be back for holidays. I gathered my things. Maybe, if I'm not too busy running my division. Savannah stood with me, her face triumphant. Don't worry, Mrs. Brooks. I'm sure Trinity will keep you updated on all the family news. She always has before. As we walked out, I heard Mom start to cry. Part of me wanted to turn back, to comfort her like I always had. But that part was getting smaller every day. You okay? Savannah asked in the elevator. I checked my reflection in the mirrored walls, adjusting my designer blazer. Never better. Ready for that board dinner? Born ready, she grinned. Though I have to ask, are you really going to make them stay at the hotel all reunion week? I smiled as the elevator doors opened. Oh, that's just the beginning. Wait until they see what I have planned for Christmas. The reunion dinner at the Four Seasons Ballroom was everything I'd orchestrated it to be. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, string quartet music floated through the air, and my family sat at the main table looking thoroughly uncomfortable in their business casual attire amid the formal setting. Is all this really necessary? Nelson tugged at his borrowed tie. The concierge had supplied emergency formal wear when I'd forgotten to mention the dress code. You mean the 5-star catering? The premium open bar? The private balcony overlooking the ocean? I sipped my champagne. Consider it making up for all those reunions I missed. Trinity's husband whistled as servers presented the appetizers. This caviar is real beluga, isn't it? Only the best for family, I smiled. Though I'm sure it's nothing compared to the sandwich platters you usually serve at reunions. Mom hadn't touched her food. Quinn, can we talk? Privately? I led her to the balcony where the ocean breeze carried the scent of salt and money. Behind us, I could hear Trinity's kids exclaiming over the chocolate fountain. This is cruel, Mom said quietly. Cruel? I turned to face her. Treating my family to luxury is cruel? You know what I mean. Flaunting your success like this. The way you flaunted Trinity's law school graduation? Or Nelson's engagement party? I leaned against the railing. The parties I wasn't invited to? We were wrong, she whispered. Is that what you want to hear? What I want, I said carefully, is for you to understand exactly what you missed out on. Every promotion, every achievement, every milestone you ignored, it all led to this. To me, becoming someone who can book an entire hotel floor without blinking. The balcony door opened. Lance had arrived. Quinn? He nodded, then turned to Mom. Mrs. Brooks, I'm Lance Whitfield. I've been mentoring your daughter for the past decade. Mom's eyes widened. You're her boss? The one from the news? Actually, Lance smiled. As of next month, Quinn will be my equal in the corporate hierarchy, possibly even my superior, given her trajectory. I watched Mom process this information, seeing the reality of my success finally sink in. The Hong Kong position, she said slowly. It's really that significant? Mom, I laughed. I'll be running operations for half of Asia. My signing bonus alone could buy the beach house twice over. Lance checked his watch. Speaking of which, the Tokyo office is waiting for our call, shall we? Of course, I turned to Mom. Enjoy the rest of dinner. The dessert course includes gold leaf. Try not to think about the cost. As we walked away, Lance muttered, brutal. I love it. Back in the ballroom, Remington had arrived with a surprise, copies of tomorrow's Wall Street Journal featuring my face on the business section. Hot off the press, he announced, distributing them to my shocked family members. Thought you might want a souvenir of your daughter's success. Dad picked up a copy with trembling hands. Global market leadership, revolutionary approach to international commerce. Don't strain yourself, Dad, I called out. The numbers might be a bit overwhelming for a small-town insurance agent. Trinity was reading aloud to her husband. Youngest executive to lead Asian operations, projected to increase market share by 300% within 5 years. Quinn, Nelson stood up suddenly. Can I talk to you about a business opportunity? Sorry, little brother. I checked my phone. My investment portfolio is fully managed, but I hear there are some great entry-level positions at my company. The string quartet began playing again as servers brought out the main course, Wagyu beef with truffle sauce. I watched my family try to maintain their composure amid the luxury they'd never imagined their forgotten daughter could provide. Your car is ready for the Tokyo call. The concierge appeared at my elbow. Thank you, James. I handed him a $100 bill. Make sure my family gets anything they need. Of course, Ms. Quinn. As I gathered my things, Mom caught my arm. When will you be back? From Hong Kong? I looked around the ballroom, at the opulence, at my stunned family, at the life I'd built without them. You know what, Mom? I'm not sure. But don't worry, I'll send pictures, just like you all did with the reunion photos all these years. Walking out, I heard Remington announcing to the room, and wait until you hear about her new penthouse in Victoria Harbour. The sound of my heels on marble echoed through the lobby, each step taking me further from the family that never believed in me and closer to the empire I'd built on their doubt. Let them eat Wagyu, I thought, and choke on every golden bite. The morning sun painted the beach house in golden light as I packed the last of my essentials for Hong Kong. Savannah sat on my bed, helping me sort through old photos I'd found in the attic. Look at this one. She held up a faded picture. Your 10th birthday. You're the only one looking at the camera while everyone fawns over Trinity's new puppy. A knock at the door interrupted my response. Mom stood in the doorway holding a small wooden box. Can I come in? She asked quietly. I nodded, continuing to pack. She sat on the edge of the bed, turning the box in her hands. I found this in our attic, she said. It's everything I saved about you, everything I was too proud to admit I kept. She opened the box. Inside were newspaper clippings, honor roll certificates, even the program from my MBA graduation they'd skipped. You kept these? My hands stilled on a silk blouse. Every single one, she whispered. I told myself I was being practical, not encouraging pipe dreams. But really, I was scared. Scared of what? That you'd succeed where I failed. That you'd break free from the small-town life I settled for. She pulled out a business magazine from last year, one with my name and a 30 under 40 feature. And you did. Savannah stood quietly. I'll give you 2 a minute. No, I caught her arm. Stay. You're more family than most of them have been. My phone buzzed. Trinity. At the beach. Can we talk? Send her up, I texted back. Minutes later, Trinity appeared, looking uncertain in the doorway. Nelson's here too, and Dad. We wanted to see you before you left. They filed in, creating a cramped audience in my bedroom. Nelson clutched a manila envelope. What's that? I nodded toward it. Investment proposals, he admitted. But not for me, for the beach house. We've all contributed, if you'll let us. I raised an eyebrow. I don't need your money. We know, Dad stepped forward, but we need to invest in something we should have invested in years ago. Our family. Pretty words, I said, but actions speak louder. Then let our actions show you. Trinity pulled out her phone. I've postponed my partnership acceptance, taking a sabbatical. Thought maybe I could visit you in Hong Kong, really get to know my sister. And I've enrolled in business courses, Nelson added. Online classes. Thought maybe you could mentor me? Actually do it right this time? Mom opened her box again, pulling out one last item, a key. We don't expect you to forgive us, she said, but maybe we can build something new, something better. I looked at the key. What's this for? The front door, she smiled sadly. I kept it all these years thinking it meant something, but you showed us what really matters isn't keys or houses or reunions. It's the people we choose to become. Savannah squeezed my hand as I took the key. I'm still going to Hong Kong, I said firmly. We know, they replied in unison. And I'm still angry. You should be, Dad acknowledged. And this doesn't fix everything. Nothing could, Mom said softly. But maybe it's a start. I walked to the window looking out at our ocean. My ocean. Behind me, I heard the rustle of Nelson's papers, Trinity's nervous breathing, Mom's box of hidden pride. The reunion, I said finally, will alternate between here and Hong Kong, and you'll all need passports. The tension broke. Trinity laughed through tears. Nelson dropped his envelope, and Dad had to sit down. Really? Mom's voice shook. Really? I turned back to them. But not because you've earned it. Because I choose it. There's a difference. Savannah grinned. Does this mean I get to plan the Hong Kong reunion? Because I have ideas. You're all going to learn Mandarin, I continued, and proper business etiquette, and how to navigate international markets. Whatever it takes, Nelson said, and for once, I believed him. My phone buzzed. Lance. Car's here for the airport. That's my cue. I picked up my carry-on. Quinn? Mom stood. Thank you. Not for the forgiveness we don't deserve, but for the chance we didn't earn. I looked at them all, my imperfect, struggling, finally trying family. Don't waste it. Walking down to the waiting car, I heard them following, saw their reflections in the polished black paint, not chasing me anymore, but walking with me, different, but possible. Hong Kong won't know what hit it, Savannah declared, hugging me goodbye. I smiled, thinking of the view from my new office, the family learning to speak my language, the future expanding like the horizon before us. Neither will they, I said, and got in the car. The beach house stood proud behind us, no longer a symbol of exclusion, but a bridge between who we were and who we might become. Not perfect, but possible. And for now, that was enough.
The letter came back marked forwarded in bold red ink. I stood there in my dorm hallway, staring at the envelope I'd sent to my childhood home 2 weeks ago. My hand started shaking. Something wasn't right. My name is Cassandra, and 6 months ago, I lost both my parents in a car crash during my freshman year of college. One moment, I was stressing about midterms. The next, I was planning a double funeral. The only thing that kept me from completely falling apart was my Aunt Ava stepping in to handle everything. Don't worry about the house, sweetheart, she'd said at the funeral, squeezing my shoulder. I'll take care of it all while you focus on school. Your mother would have wanted that. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She was Mum's sister, My godmother, the person who'd always brought me birthday presents and called me her favourite niece, though I was her only one. The monthly call started right after I returned to campus. "The roof needs work," she'd sigh. "The property taxes are due." Each conversation was a carefully crafted symphony of exhaustion and martyrdom. "I really don't know how much longer I can keep throwing money at this place," she told me last week. "The maintenance alone." But now I held this returned letter, and something clicked. I called my roommate Olive. "Hey, what's wrong?" she answered, probably hearing the tension in my voice. "Remember that care package I sent home? The one with Mum's old photos I wanted to keep safe?" "Yeah?" It came back. "Forwarded." I swallowed hard. "Olive, why would mail need forwarding if the house is empty?" There was a long pause. "Have you checked your bank statements? The property tax records?" No. Aunt Ava handles all that." "Maybe it's time you did." I sat down at my desk and opened my laptop. The county website was surprisingly easy to navigate. Property taxes, ownership records, utility bills. It was all there. My hands froze over the keyboard. "Olive," I whispered into the phone. "The utilities are active, all of them. Electric, water, gas. For an empty house?" She told me she had to winterize the pipes, that everything was shut off to save money. My voice cracked. "She's been lying to me." "Call her," Olive suggested. "See what she says." I did. The phone rang 3 times before Ava's familiar voice answered, warm as honey. "Cassandra, sweetheart, is everything okay?" "Hey, Aunt Ava, quick question. Is anyone checking on the house?" "Oh, Julius from next door looks in occasionally." "Why?" "Just wondering about the utilities. They're still on." A pause. Just a heartbeat too long. "Well, yes, dear. We have to maintain a minimum temperature for the pipes, you know. Wisconsin winters are brutal." "Right," I said, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. "And the water bill? Must be a mistake. I'll look into it." Another pause. "Cassandra, I know you're worried, but please trust me. I'm handling everything. Your mother..." "Don't." The word came out sharper than I intended. "Don't talk about Mom right now." After we hung up, I sat in silence, staring at the returned envelope. Mum's voice echoed in my head from years ago. "Always trust your gut, baby girl. When something feels wrong, it usually is." Olive came back from class to find me still at my desk, surrounded by printed documents and sticky notes. "What's the plan?" she asked, dropping her backpack. I looked up at her, something cold and certain settling in my stomach. "First, I'm going home for fall break, not telling Aunt Ava. And then I find out exactly what she's been doing with my house." I picked up the forwarded envelope. "Because this is just the beginning." Olive sat on her bed, watching me with concern. "You know this could get ugly, right? Family drama always does." It got ugly the moment she decided to lie to me. I started organising the papers into a folder. She thinks I'm just a grieving college kid who's too overwhelmed to pay attention, too broken to fight back. Are you? Broken, I mean. I thought about Mom and Dad, about the last time I saw them alive, about all the moments they'd never see, the graduation they'd miss, the grandchildren they'd never meet, about Aunt Ava using my grief like a shield for whatever game she was playing. "No," I said finally, "I'm not broken, I'm angry, and Aunt Ava's about to learn that was her first mistake." The autumn wind whipped around me as I parked my beat-up Honda a block away from my childhood home. Dead leaves skittered across the sidewalk, and my hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. After a 6-hour drive from campus, I wasn't prepared for what I might find. A silver SUV sat in my driveway. My driveway. "Just breathe," I whispered to myself, grabbing my phone to text Olive. "Made it. There's a car here." Her response came instantly. Take pictures of everything. I got out and walked slowly toward the house, trying to look like just another person out for a morning stroll. That's when I heard it. Barking. A dog. We never had a dog. The front door opened, and a woman in her late 20s stepped out holding a travel mug. She wore scrubs and was calling behind her. "Be good, Max. I'll be back at 7. I watched, frozen, as she locked the door, my door, and headed to the SUV. She noticed me standing there and smiled. "Oh, hi. Can I help you?" My mouth was dry. "I was just admiring the house. It's beautiful." "Isn't it?" She beamed. "We got so lucky finding it. The landlord keeps it in amazing shape." "The landlord?" "Ms. Ava. She's fantastic. I'm Delaney, by the way." She shifted her coffee to her other hand. "Are you looking to rent in the area?" My heart pounded. "How long have you lived here?" "About 8 months now. The rent's reasonable too. Only $1,400. In this neighbourhood, that's a steal." $1,400 per month for 8 months. The numbers started multiplying in my head. "Do you mind if I ask about the application process?" I forced myself to sound casual. "My friend's looking for a place." "Oh, it was super easy. Ms. Ava handles everything through her property company. Want me to give you her number?" "That would be great." Delaney pulled out her phone and showed me a business card photo. There it was in sleek typography. AT Properties LLC. "Thanks," I said, snapping a quick picture when she wasn't looking. "Really helpful." "No problem. Sorry, but I've got to run. Hospital shift." She hurried to her car, then called back. "If you're interested, there's an open house next week for the unit down the street. Same company." I waited until she drove away before slumping against a tree. My legs felt weak. A neighbour's door opened and I recognised Julius, who'd lived next door my entire life. His eyes widened when he saw me. "Cassandra, is that you?" "Hi, Julius." He glanced at my house, then back at me, his expression uncomfortable. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Clearly not." My voice came out harder than intended. "How long have there been tenants?" He shifted his weight. "Listen, Cassandra, I thought you knew. Ava said you'd signed the house over to her, that managing it yourself was too much with college and everything. Did she show you these papers I supposedly signed?" His face fell. "No, I just assumed." "Yeah, everyone did." I pulled out my phone and dialed Olive. "Well?" She answered immediately. "It's worse than we thought. She's running a whole property company, using my house as a rental. Holy shit, what are you going to do?" I watched another car pull into my driveway, probably Delaney's roommate coming home. "I need a lawyer, and I need to be smart about this." "Don't confront her yet," Olive warned. "Get proof first. Everything documented." "Already started." I looked at Julius, who was still standing there looking guilty. "Hey, Julius, would you be willing to make a statement about what Ava told you? About the house?" He straightened up, something like relief crossing his face. "Of course. Your parents, they were good people. This isn't right." I thanked him and started walking back to my car, my mind racing. 8 months of rent, multiple properties, a whole LLC. The betrayal went so much deeper than I'd imagined. My phone buzzed. A text from Aunt Ava. "Just checking in, sweetheart. How are classes? Don't worry about the house. I just paid the property tax. It was a bit late, but all sorted now." I stared at the message, at her casual lies, at the fake cheerfulness. My fingers typed out a response. "Thanks for handling everything, Aunt Ava. You're right. I shouldn't worry about the house at all." Let her think I was still the grieving, naive niece. Let her think she had me fooled. I started my car and took one last look at my childhood home, at the strange cars in the driveway. at the dog barking in the window. "Game on, Aunt Ava," I whispered. "Game on." "Look at this," Olive said, spinning her laptop around. We sat cross-legged on her dorm room floor, surrounded by printouts and empty coffee cups. Property taxes were paid late 4 times in the past 2 years, always in lump sums. I leaned closer to the screen. "Those payment dates, they're all right after the first of the month." "When rent would come in," Olive finished. "She's using the rental income to catch up on back taxes." My phone buzzed. A text from Leighton, my dad's old friend who ran the auto shop in town. "You're not going to believe this. Just overheard Ava showing another property to renters. She's got 3 houses now." "3?" I texted back. "How?" "All managed through her company." "Want me to keep an eye out?" "Yes, document everything." Olive was already typing furiously. "Got it. AT Properties, LLC registered 18 months ago. Public record." She turned the screen again. "Look who signed as the managing member." There was Ava's signature, bold and confident, dated just 2 months after my parents' funeral. "She planned this," I said, my voice hollow. "She was planning it while I was still picking out their caskets. There's more." Olive clicked through several tabs. "She's advertising on multiple rental sites. Your house is listed as a charming historic property with modern amenities. Monthly rent is now $1,600. My hands clenched. "She raised it. As of last month. But here's the thing. She's using professional photos from when my parents listed it for sale 5 years ago. The ones my mum took. Can we prove that? The metadata's still in the image files. Date, photographer, everything." I pulled out my notebook, adding to the growing list of evidence. "What about the LLC? Is it legal?" "Technically, yes, but she's renting property she doesn't own through it. That's fraud." My phone rang. Aunt Ava. I put it on speaker. "Cassandra, sweetheart, how are you?" "Fine, just studying." "What's up?" "Oh, wonderful news. I've applied for historic status for the house. It'll help with tax breaks." Olive's eyes widened. I kept my voice steady. "Really? That's interesting. Don't you need the owner's permission for that?" A slight pause. "Well, as your guardian?" "I'm 19, Aunt Ava. You're not my guardian." Of course, but I've power of attorney." "No, you don't." My heart was pounding, but my voice remained calm. "We never filed those papers." Another pause, longer this time. "Cassandra, I'm just trying to help. Your mother would—" "I have to go. Study group." I hung up. Olive let out a low whistle. "She's getting sloppy, making mistakes." "Good." I opened my laptop, because I just found something else. We spent the next hour tracing bank records, property listings, and tax documents. Every thread we pulled revealed another lie, another scheme. Ava hadn't just stolen my house. She'd built a business on the assumption I'd never notice. My phone buzzed again. Julius, this time. Found an old recording from the summer barbecue, Ava bragging about her property empire. "Want it?" "Yes. Send everything." Olive looked up from her research. "We need to be careful here. If we spook her too early..." "She'll destroy evidence," I finished. "I know. But look at this." I showed her the county clerk's website. There, in public records, was a lease agreement for my house. At the bottom, my signature. Forged. "That's it." Olive stood up, stretching. "We need a lawyer." Already on it. The university's legal clinic is helping me build a case. Free representation for students. Smart. What's next? I looked at my growing evidence file. Now we wait. Let her dig herself deeper. My phone lit up with another text from Leighton. Ava just left the hardware store, bought new locks, said something about problem tenants in the Victorian on Oak. My house, I whispered. Oh, spray. She's changing locks on property she doesn't own, Olive said. Add it to the file. I started typing a response to Leighton when another message came through. From Delaney, the tenant. Hi, hope you don't mind. I got your number from Julius. Quick question. Did you used to live in this house? Something weird is going on with the mail. I showed Olive the message. She grinned. Perfect. The tenants are getting suspicious. Should I tell her? Not yet. But keep that line open. We might need their testimony later. I looked at my reflection in the window, seeing Mum's determination in my eyes. Aunt Ava thinks she's so clever, playing the caring aunt while stealing everything out from under me. She won't think she's clever when this is over, Olive said firmly. I nodded, adding Delaney's message to our evidence file. No, she really won't. I just don't understand why you're asking all these questions, sweetheart. Ava's voice dripped honey through the phone. The house is such a burden. I'm barely keeping up with the maintenance costs. I paced my dorm room, phone pressed to my ear, keeping my voice carefully neutral. I was thinking about coming home for a weekend, that's all. Maybe check on things. Oh, no, don't do that. The roof is being repaired, it's not safe. I caught Olive's eye across the room. She was recording the conversation, giving me a thumbs up. That must be expensive, I said. Terribly, almost $4,000 for the repairs alone. I glanced at the contractor quotes I'd gathered. The highest was $2,500. How are you paying for it? I took out a small loan. The things I do for family. She sighed dramatically. Oh, did I tell you? The historic status application is moving forward. About that, I said, gripping the phone tighter. I never agreed to... It's all handled, dear. I signed the paperwork last week. Such a relief. The tax benefits will help offset all these expenses. Olive's eyes widened. She scribbled on her notepad. Confession. She just admitted to forging documents. You signed for me? I kept my voice curious, not accusatory. Well, yes, as your proxy. It's perfectly legal given the circumstances. What circumstances? Another pause. Cassandra, are you feeling all right? You seem different lately. Just stressed about finals, I lied smoothly. Hey, quick question. Did you get the property tax notice I forwarded? It seemed urgent. What notice? Her voice sharpened slightly. Must have gotten lost in the mail. Like that care package I sent to the house. The silence stretched for 3 full seconds. I should go, dear. I have a meeting. After she hung up, Olive stopped the recording. She's getting nervous, starting to slip up. Good. I sat down at my desk, adding notes to our timeline. Because I just got an interesting email from the Historic Preservation Board. Olive leaned over my shoulder to read. Application denied due to unauthorized submission. Property owner verification required. She's running out of options, Olive said. What do you think she'll do next? As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from Leighton. Ava's here at the house, having a heated argument with Delaney about late rent. But Delaney told me she pays on time, I said, showing Olive the message. Check your email again, Olive said suddenly. The one from the tenant association. I pulled up the message. There it was. Proof that Delaney had been making payments like clockwork, but to Ava's personal account, not the LLC. She's double dipping, Olive realised, taking rent under the table and through the company. Tax fraud, I said, adding it to our list. The IRS would love to know about that. My phone lit up again. Delaney this time. Your aunt is insisting we're late on rent, but I have all the receipts. Something feels wrong. Who actually owns this house? I showed Olive the message. Time to tell her? Not yet. Let Ava dig deeper. I texted Delaney back. Keep those receipts safe. All of them. The next morning, I woke to an email from the county clerk's office. They'd found 3 more lease agreements, all with my forged signature, all notarized by the same person. "Look up that notary," Olive suggested over breakfast. 5 minutes of searching revealed the truth. The notary's license had expired 6 months before the documents were signed. "She's not just lying to me," I said, pushing away my untouched coffee. "She's lying to everyone, the tenants, the county, the tax office, and she thinks she's untouchable," Olive added, "because who would suspect the caring aunt helping her poor, grieving niece?" My phone rang. Ava again. I answered on speaker. "Cassandra, I've been thinking. Maybe it's time we discuss selling the house." My blood ran cold. "Selling?" "It's too much responsibility. I found a buyer who's willing to make a cash offer." "Let me guess," I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. "AT, Properties wants to buy it? How did you... yes, actually. It would be simpler for everyone. I'll think about it." After hanging up, I looked at Olive. "She's getting desperate." "Because she knows she's losing control," Olive said. "What's our next move?" I opened my evidence file, now nearly bursting with documents, recordings, and testimonies. "I think it's time to visit the courthouse. Winter break starts next week." "And Ava?" I thought about my aunt's fake concern, her calculated lies, her attempts to steal my parents' legacy piece by piece. "Let her think she's winning," I said, closing my laptop, "right up until she loses everything." The courthouse steps were icy as I climbed them, clutching my folder of evidence. Inside, the clerk's office smelled like old paper and coffee. "Can I help you?" The woman behind the counter peered at me over reading glasses. "I need to see any property records filed under AT Properties LLC. I slid my ID across the counter. "And anything related to this address." 20 minutes later, I sat at a research table, staring at a document that made my hands shake. A deed transfer, dated 3 months ago, with my forged signature. Ava had tried to transfer my house to her company. "Excuse me," I called to the clerk. "Was this deed ever registered?" She checked her computer. "No, it was rejected due to improper notarization." I took photos of everything, then headed to my next stop, the local bank where my parents had kept their safety deposit box. The one Ava didn't know about. The bank manager recognized me immediately. "Cassandra, my goodness, you look just like your mother." "Thanks, Mr. Roberts. I need to access my parents' box." Inside, I found what I was looking for. The original deed, my parents' will, and property insurance documents, all listing me as the sole owner. My phone buzzed. Delaney again. "Your aunt just showed up demanding December's rent early. Said she needs it for emergency repairs." I texted back, "Don't give her anything. Send all future payments to this address." I included the details of the new P.O. box I'd opened that morning. Next came a message from Julius. "You need to hear this." Attached was an audio file I put in my earbuds. Ava's voice came through clearly. "Practically gave me the house. Poor thing's too overwhelmed with college to care. By the time she figures it out, it'll be too late." I forwarded the recording to my lawyer at the university clinic. His response was immediate. "This is exactly what we needed. Ready to proceed whenever you are." Back at my car, I called Olive. "The deed transfer failed, but she tried. That's attempted fraud." "Perfect. What about the tenants?" "Already handled. New payment instructions sent. Once those checks start coming in my name instead of hers." "She'll lose it," Olive finished. "That's the plan." I drove to Leighton's shop next. He was under a car when I arrived, but rolled out immediately when he heard my voice. "Got something for you," he said, wiping his hands on a rag. "Ava's been asking around about quick sales, cash buyers, even mentioned something about overseas investors." "She's planning an escape route," I realised, "and there's more." He lowered his voice. She's been moving furniture out of her house. Small stuff, but expensive pieces. My sister works at the consignment shop where she's been selling it. I added this to my notes. Can your sister make a statement about the sales? Already done. Emailed it to you this morning. Back in my car, I checked my email. 3 new messages. 1 from the tax assessor's office confirming my ownership, 1 from my lawyer with draft cease and desist papers, and 1 from Ava. Darling, we need to talk about the house. I've had several offers. Call me ASAP. Instead of calling, I drove past my house. 2 moving trucks were parked outside. New tenants for the upstairs apartment, according to Delaney's latest text. My phone rang. Julius. Cassandra, she's here, talking about selling the house next week. Says she has papers ready for your signature. Let her talk, I said. Record everything. She's drinking wine on my porch, bragging about some property empire she's building. Should I keep her talking? The more she says, the better. I was about to hang up when a car screeched into my hotel parking lot. Ava's red Mercedes. She stormed toward me, face flushed. Why are the tenants suddenly sending checks to a P.O. box? What have you done? I stayed calm, phone still recording. Hello, Aunt Ava. Funny meeting you here? Don't play games with me. I've done everything for you. Managed your property, protected your interests. By forging my signature, by stealing rent money. Her face went white. You ungrateful little... Everything okay here? A police cruiser had pulled up, the officer watching us carefully. Fine, Ava said quickly, plastering on a smile. Just a family discussion. The officer nodded, but didn't drive away. We'll talk later, Ava hissed, retreating to her car. I watched her speed away, then texted Olive. She knows something's wrong. Time to move faster. Be careful, Olive replied. Cornered animals bite hardest. I looked at my phone, at the growing evidence file, at the officer still watching protectively from his cruiser. Let her bite, I whispered. I've got stronger teeth. I can explain everything, Ava said, pacing my dorm room. She'd shown up unannounced, tears streaming down her face. You have to understand, I was trying to protect you. I pressed record on my phone, hidden in my pocket. Protect me how? The house was drowning in debt. The taxes, the repairs. She dabbed her eyes with a tissue. I had to do something. Like rent it out? Yes, exactly. She grabbed my hands. The rental income saved us. Saved you. How much did you make from the rentals? Barely enough to cover expenses. She sniffled. Maybe a few hundred a month. Lie. I had the bank records showing thousands. What about the other properties? I kept my voice neutral. The Victorian on Oak? She froze. How did you... And the duplex on Maple? The townhouse on 3rd Street? Those are separate, my business ventures. Using my house as collateral? Her tears dried instantly. Who have you been talking to? The county clerk's office, the tax assessor, your tenants. You had no right. It's my house, Aunt Ava, my inheritance. She straightened up, her mask slipping. You're just a child. You have no idea how the real world works. I know, forging signatures is illegal. I did that for you. And the second mortgage you took out in my name. Her face went pale. How did you? Bank records? Amazing what they'll show you when you're the legal owner. She grabbed her purse. This conversation is over. No, it's not. Sit down. Something in my voice made her pause. The rental income, I said calmly. Where did it go? Property maintenance, obviously. Try again. I pulled out my phone, playing the recording from her conversation with her bank. You used it to pay off your gambling debts. She lunged for the phone. I stepped back. Delete that. Like you deleted the security footage of you changing the locks? Or the emails from tenants with their rent receipts? You little... She caught herself. Cassandra, please. We can work this out. I'm family. Family doesn't steal from family. I can pay you back. With what money? The cash you've been moving offshore. Her eyes widened. Who told you? Your banker. He's very chatty when presented with evidence of fraud. A knock at the door made us both jump. Olive entered, followed by my lawyer from the university clinic. Ms. Thornton, he said formally, I am representing your niece in this matter. Ava's face hardened. She doesn't need representation. This is a family issue. Criminal fraud is hardly a family issue. He opened his briefcase. We have documented evidence of multiple felonies, including forgery, theft, and tax evasion. You're bluffing. The FBI doesn't bluff about wire fraud. He laid out documents on my desk. Shall we discuss the international transfers? Ava grabbed her coat. I don't have to listen to this. Actually, I said, you do. Because in about an hour, the sheriff will be serving you with papers, and not just eviction notices. You wouldn't dare. Try me. She looked around wildly, like a trapped animal. I'll tell everyone what an ungrateful brat you are, how you turned on your own aunt. Go ahead. I nodded to Olive, who was still recording. Add slander to the charges. Your mother would be ashamed of you. That hit hard, but I didn't flinch. My mother would be ashamed of you, using her death to steal from her daughter? I'm leaving. She yanked open the door. One more thing, I called after her. The Historic Preservation Board, they're very interested in the forged applications. Apparently, that's a federal offence. She slammed the door so hard the walls shook. My lawyer gathered his papers. That went well. She admitted to multiple crimes on recording. Will it be enough? Olive asked, combined with our other evidence. More than enough. He checked his watch. The sheriff should be at her house now with the court orders. I sank into my chair, suddenly exhausted. What happens next? She'll be served with multiple notices. Eviction from your property, cease and desist on all rental activities, and a court summons for the criminal charges. And the house? Is safely yours. I've already filed injunctions preventing any property transfers or new leases. After he left, Olive hugged me. You okay? I looked at my phone, buzzing with messages from Delaney, Julius, and Leighton, all reporting that sheriff's deputies had arrived at various properties. No, I said honestly, but I will be. She's not getting away with this, Olive said firmly. No, I agreed, watching another text come in, this one from the sheriff himself. She's really not. I sat in my car across from my childhood home, watching the sheriff's cruiser pull into the driveway. Ava's Mercedes was already there, along with two other cars I didn't recognise. Probably her lawyer and real estate agent, desperately trying to salvage something from the wreckage. My phone buzzed. Olive. Everything okay? About to be, I texted back. Sheriff Russell, a tall man with grey hair and steady eyes, approached the front door. Two deputies flanked him. He knocked firmly. Ava answered, her designer outfit and perfect makeup a stark contrast to her panicked expression. Can I help you? Miss Thornton? He held out a yellow envelope. You're being served with an immediate eviction notice and criminal complaint. This is ridiculous. She tried to close the door. The sheriff's boot blocked it. Ma'am, you need to take these documents. I have rights. This is my property. Actually, I said, walking up the driveway, it's mine. Ava's face contorted. You set this up. No, Aunt Ava, you set yourself up. The sheriff handed her another document. This is a court order freezing all assets related to AT Properties LLC. You can't do this, she turned to her lawyer, who was looking increasingly uncomfortable. Tell them. He shook his head. Miss Thornton, I advised you last week to cease all property operations. You didn't listen. The FBI's Financial Crimes Unit is very interested in those offshore transfers, I added quietly. Her real estate agent slipped away to her car. Smart woman. You have 30 minutes to collect essential personal items, Sheriff Russell said. Then you need to vacate the premises. Where am I supposed to go? That's not our concern, Mum. Ava turned to me, tears starting again. Cassandra, please, we can work something out. I'll pay it all back. Like you paid back the second mortgage? Or the credit cards you opened in my name? Her tears vanished. You ungrateful little witch. I gave up everything to help you. Help me? I pulled out my phone. Should we play the recordings again? The ones where you brag about stealing my inheritance? Deputies, the sheriff called, please escort Miss Thornton inside to collect her belongings. I watched as they led her in, her protest echoing through the house that had once held so many happy memories. Delaney appeared on the porch. Is it true, everything she did? I nodded. I'm sorry you got caught in the middle of this. Don't be, we had no idea. She hesitated. What happens to us now? You can stay until your lease ends. New rental agreement directly with me. No more dealing with Ava or her company. Relief flooded her face. Thank you. Leighton's truck pulled up. He got out with Julius, both looking grimly satisfied. Just got word, Leighton said. Sheriff's deputies are serving papers at the other properties too. The whole scheme's coming down. Ava emerged with a small suitcase, the deputies close behind. She stopped when she saw everyone watching. You're all going to regret this, she spat. I'll sue every one of you. With what money? Julius asked calmly. The money you stole? The money you gambled away? Or the money you tried to hide overseas? The FBI has some questions about that, Sheriff Russell added. They'll be in touch very soon. Ava's lawyer touched her arm. Don't say another word. Let's go. She yanked away from him. This house belongs to me. I put everything into it. No, I said firmly. You took everything from it. There's a difference. The deputies moved closer. Sheriff Russell's voice hardened. Ms. Thornton, leave now or we'll add resisting a court order to your charges. Finally, her shoulders slumped. Without another word, she got into her Mercedes and drove away. The sheriff turned to me. You'll need to change the locks, and I'd recommend installing security cameras. Already ordered, Leighton said. I'll install them myself. I looked at my house. My house, finally and truly mine again. Thank you, all of you. Your parents would be proud, Julius said quietly. Standing up for yourself like this. My phone buzzed. Olive. Well? I texted back. It's done. She's gone. Then I walked up to my front door, took out my old key, the one Ava never knew I'd kept, and went inside. The house smelled different, felt different, but underneath it all was still home. Another text from Olive. You okay? I looked around at the rooms that held my childhood, at the walls that had witnessed both love and betrayal, and typed, No, but I will be, because this time, justice won. The certified letter arrived during finals week. I recognised Ava's lawyer's firm on the return address. She's counter-suing, Olive said, watching me open it. Just like you predicted. I scanned the documents and started laughing. What's funny? She's claiming emotional distress and defamation, says I maliciously damaged her reputation by exposing her crimes. Can she do that? She can try. I pulled out my phone to call my lawyer. But I've got something she doesn't know about. He answered on the first ring. I assume you received the lawsuit? Yes. Time to use the recording? Absolutely. I'll file our counter-response today. I hung up and turned to Olive. Remember that conversation I had with her banker? The one where he admitted helping her hide money. He didn't just admit it. He gave me proof. Documentation of every transfer, every hidden account. He's turning state's evidence to save himself. My phone buzzed. Delaney. FBI agents just left. Showed them everything about the rent payments and fake leases. Another text from Julius. Federal investigators went through Ava's house today. Found shredded documents in her fireplace. They're reconstructing them. It's all falling apart for her, Olive said. Good. I started packing my bag. Ready for a road trip? 2 hours later, we pulled into my driveway. Leighton was installing the last security camera. Perfect timing, he called down from the ladder. Wait till you see inside. The house smelled like fresh paint and furniture polish. The living room walls were now a soft grey, my mother's favourite colour. Delaney and her roommates helped, Leighton explained. Said it was the least they could do. I ran my hand along the wall. It's perfect. There's more, he said, leading us to the kitchen. Look what we found behind the cabinet Ava installed. There, in a small alcove, was my mother's old recipe box, the one that had disappeared after the funeral. She couldn't even let me have this, I whispered, opening it. Inside were all the handwritten cards, Sunday pot roast, birthday cake, Christmas cookies. But now you do, Olive said firmly. My phone rang, the lawyer again. Great news, he said. The FBI just froze all of Ava's accounts. They found evidence of tax evasion going back 5 years. Before my parents died? Yes, this wasn't just about your inheritance. It was a pattern. After hanging up, I sat at the kitchen counter, the same spot where I'd done homework while Mum cooked. Want to know something weird? I said to Olive. I thought getting revenge would feel better, more satisfying. Doesn't it? No. It feels... I searched for the words. It feels like finally locking a door that should have been locked ages ago. A knock interrupted us. Sheriff Russell stood in the doorway. Thought you should know, he said. Ava was just arrested trying to board a flight to the Cayman Islands. Let me guess, one-way ticket? He nodded. She's facing federal charges now, no bail. After he left, Olive and I went up to my old bedroom. The walls still held traces of the butterfly stickers I'd loved as a kid. You going to stay here? She asked, after graduation? No. I looked out the window at the maple tree where Dad had built my treehouse. But I'm not selling either. This house deserves better tenants, better memories. Like Delaney? Like Delaney. And maybe someday, when I'm ready, I'll come back. But not yet. My phone buzzed one last time. An email from Ava's lawyer. She was withdrawing her lawsuit. Smart move, Olive said, reading over my shoulder. She's got bigger problems now. I closed my email and opened Mum's recipe box instead. On top was her signature chocolate chip cookie recipe, the edges worn from use. Want to make cookies? I asked Olive. In your kitchen? With your Mum's recipe? Yeah. I smiled. Really smiled for the first time in what felt like forever. I think it's time this house smelled like home again. As we gathered ingredients, I thought about Ava sitting in her jail cell, about all her schemes crumbling, about justice finally being served. But mostly I thought about Mom, about how she always said the best revenge was living well. You know what? I said, measuring flour into a bowl. Mum was right. About what? Everything. I cracked an egg just like Mum had taught me. But especially about karma. It always comes around. The kitchen filled with the smell of vanilla and melting chocolate, erasing the last traces of Ava's presence. Outside, the maple tree swayed in the breeze, its leaves whispering secrets only this house would ever know.
The crystal wine glasses clinked as Anne raised her flute, her diamond tennis bracelet catching the chandelier light. everyone at the mahogany dining table fell silent, except for the quiet sob building in my throat that I refused to let escape. My name is Bonnie, and this was the moment my marriage began to die. I think we all know why we're here, Anne's voice carried across the formal dining room. Gregory's business setbacks have become concerning. Her eyes locked onto mine, razor sharp. When my son married beneath his station, I hoped love would overcome certain limitations. I gripped my napkin under the table, knuckles white. Next to me, Gregory stared at his plate, silent as a statue. The same silence he'd maintained through 3 months of bounced checks and missing account statements. "Mother," Gregory finally spoke, his voice weak, "perhaps this isn't the time." "It's exactly the time," Anne cut him off. "Your father built an empire, and now look at you, living in that modest townhouse, driving domestic cars. All because you let yourself be distracted." She spat the last word like poison. I took a slow sip of water, buying time. Around the table sat the entire Walton extended family, cousins, aunts, uncles, all watching the show with barely concealed fascination. The lamb on my plate had gone cold. "Anne," I said carefully, "I run a successful interior design firm. Our lifestyle choices are just that, choices." "Choices?" Anne laughed, the sound like breaking glass. "Like choosing to drain my son's trust fund for your little hobby business?" The accusation hit like a slap. I hadn't touched Gregory's trust fund, didn't even have access. But the confusion in my gut was quickly replaced by something else, clarity. 3 months of mysterious withdrawals, late-night phone calls, business trips with no receipts. "Gregory," I turned to my husband, "would you like to explain to your mother how I accessed money I never had authorization for?" He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Bonnie, please, not now." "When then?" My voice was steady, surprising even me. "When the credit card companies start calling, when the mortgage payment bounces again." Anne's face flushed red. "How dare you air our private matters?" "Private?" I stood up, my chair scraping against hardwood. "Like the private text messages I found from someone named Bianca, or the private casino receipts stuffed in Gregory's golf bag." The dining room went deadly quiet. Gregory's cousin Victoria choked on her wine. "You've been snooping through my son's things?" Anne's voice trembled with rage. "I've been trying to understand why our joint account is suddenly empty." I placed my napkin on the table. "But you're right about one thing, Anne. This is a family matter, and since I'm clearly not family..." I walked toward the door, pausing only when I reached the threshold. "Gregory, when you're ready to tell the truth, you know where to find me. Until then, enjoy your mother's empire of delusions." The drive home was a blur of street lights and suppressed screams. I pulled into our garage. Correction, my garage, since I'd bought the townhouse with my own money before we married, and sat in the dark, hands trembling on the steering wheel. My phone buzzed. A text from Zoe. How bad was it? I started typing, then stopped. Zoe had been my best friend since college, but lately, something felt off. The way she'd changed subjects when I mentioned money troubles, the lunch dates she kept cancelling. Instead, I opened my browser and typed Eastern Wise Investigations. The website was simple, professional. The reviews mentioned words like discreet and thorough. Another text from Gregory. "Mother's upset. We should talk." I looked at our front door, imagining him coming home later, full of excuses and half-truths. He'd try to smooth things over like he always did. He'd say his mother was just worried, just protective. He'd promised to stand up to her next time. But there was something different now. The fog of confusion had lifted, replaced by cold, sharp purpose. They thought tonight was their victory. Poor, classless Bonnie, put in her place at last. I clicked the Contact Now button on Easton's website and typed a brief message. Then I got out of the car, straightened my dress, and walked inside to wait for my husband. Let them think they'd won. Let them believe I was broken. I'd spent 3 years trying to fit into their world of old money and older prejudices. Now it was time to show them exactly what a self-made woman could do. The game was about to change, and I had nothing left to lose. These are just from the past 3 months. Easton spread photos across my office desk, each one a knife to the heart. Your husband's been busy. I picked up a receipt from the Chateau Royal. $5,000 for a business dinner. The date matched one of Gregory's supposed client meetings in Chicago. Except, according to his credit card statements, he never left the city. There's more, Easton said, sliding over a manila envelope. Bank statements showing regular transfers to multiple accounts, most under female names. The largest payments go to someone named Bianca. My hands shook as I opened the envelope. Inside were screenshots of text messages, hotel receipts, and something that made my stomach turn, a membership card for an exclusive gentlemen's club downtown. How much? I asked, my voice hollow. Total withdrawals over the past year? Just under 200,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. I thought about the morning Gregory proposed, how he'd surprised me at my tiny starter apartment with coffee and croissants, how he'd promised we'd build something beautiful together. My phone buzzed. Speaking of the devil. Hey, honey, Gregory's text read. Late meeting tonight. Don't wait up. I checked the time. 4:30 p.m. Right on schedule. I need you to follow him tonight, I told Easton. Get photos of everything. After Easton left, I pulled up an old photo on my phone. Gregory and me at our wedding, his arms around my waist, both of us laughing. I'd designed my own dress, refusing Anne's offers of family heirlooms. You look cheap, she'd said, but I suppose that's your aesthetic. My office phone rang. Bonnie, it's Andrea, Anne's goddaughter. Andrea, how did you get this number? Listen, I don't have much time. There's something you need to know about Gregory's ex-fiancé. I sat up straighter. I didn't know he was engaged before. Exactly. Anne made sure of that. The girl was from a working-class family like you. She found out some things about Gregory, threatened to go public. Anne paid her to disappear. My heart raced. Why are you telling me this? Because Anne's doing it again. She's been covering Gregory's debts for years, but this time it's different. The money's coming from places it shouldn't. A knock at my door made me jump. Zoe stood there, looking nervous. Andrea, I have to go. Thank you. I hung up as Zoe walked in. Hey, stranger, she said, trying to smile. Can we talk? I cleared my desk quickly, but not before Zoe caught sight of the hotel receipts. Her face went pale. Bonnie, I need to tell you something. Save it. I held up my hand. Unless you're ready to explain why you've been helping Gregory hide money. Her eyes widened. How did you... Your business credit line, the one you said was maxed out from renovations. Gregory's been using it for his gambling debts. Tears spilled down Zoe's cheeks. He said it was temporary, that he just needed to cover some investments until they paid off. He promised he'd pay it back. And you believed him? After watching him lie to me for months? He showed me documents, plans for this huge development deal. Said Anne was backing it, but the paperwork was delayed. I laughed bitterly. There is no development deal, Zoe. Just like there's no startup, no investors, no anything, except my husband burning through money with his mistress. My phone buzzed again. A message from Easton. Following target now, headed to Chateau Royal. Female companion matches description of Bianca. I'm so sorry, Zoe whispered. I'll help you. Whatever you need. I'll testify. Stop. I held up my hand. I trusted you for 15 years. You were my maid of honor. And you chose him. Bonnie, please, I have a meeting. I stood up, gathering my things. I suggest you talk to your lawyer about that credit line, because when this all comes out, you'll need one. As I walked to my car, another text came through. This one from Gregory. Missing you. Dinner tomorrow night? Just us. I smiled, thinking of the meeting I had scheduled with Samara, the city's most ruthless divorce attorney. Can't wait, I typed back. I have something special planned. Let him think I was still the trusting wife. Let them all think I was breaking. The truth would come soon enough, and it would shatter their perfect world into pieces too small to ever put back together. I started my car, heading to the lawyer's office. In my rearview mirror, I could see Zoe standing in my office doorway, still crying. Some bridges burn slowly, I thought. And some you have to torch yourself. The opera house sparkled like a jewel box, but all I could focus on was Anne's hand gripping Gregory's arm as we walked in. Her diamond rings caught the light, a silent reminder of the wealth she lorded over everyone. "Darling," she called out, her voice dripping honey, "that dress is interesting. Vintage, I assume." I smoothed down my designer gown, one I'd actually helped design last season. Brand new, actually, but you're right, it was inspired by classic silhouettes. Gregory shifted uncomfortably between us. 3 days had passed since Easton's photos confirmed Bianca's existence, but I'd played the perfect wife. Even now I reached for Gregory's hand, squeezing it gently. "The box seats are this way," Anne gestured, "though perhaps Bonnie would be more comfortable in the general admission area." "Mother," Gregory started, but I cut him off with a laugh. "Actually, I've arranged something special." I pulled out 4 tickets. Front row, centre orchestra, better acoustics. I thought we could all sit together. Anne's face tightened. These seats cost more than her box, and we all knew it. As we settled in, Andrea slipped into the seat next to me. "Aunt Anne," she said sweetly, "I hope you don't mind me joining." Anne's eyes narrowed. She knew Andrea had been talking to me, but couldn't make a scene. Not here, not now. The lights dimmed as the orchestra tuned up. I felt my phone vibrate, a text from Samara. "Documents ready, meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m. On stage, the tragedy unfolded. A beautiful woman discovered her husband's betrayal, his lies, his other life. How fitting. During intermission, I excused myself to the powder room. Andrea followed. "The transfers are getting bigger," she whispered, checking under the stalls. "Anne moved 50,000 last week, called it a family emergency." "From the estate trust," Andrea nodded. "She's executor, but she's not supposed to touch the principal. If the other beneficiaries find out..." The bathroom door swung open. Anne stood there, her face a mask of fury. "Andrea, dear, your father's looking for you." Andrea squeezed my arm before hurrying out. Anne waited until the door closed. "Whatever you think you're doing," she hissed. "Stop, now." I reapplied my lipstick, taking my time. "I'm just enjoying the opera, Anne. Isn't that what family does?" "You are not family. You're a gold digger who got lucky." I turned to face her. "Funny, I'm not the one embezzling from a trust fund." The colour drained from her face. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I? Like, I don't know about Gregory's ex-fiancée, or about August introducing him to his bookie, or about Bianca." "You ungrateful little..." "Save it." I snapped my clutch shut. "The second act's starting. We wouldn't want to miss the climax." Back in our seats, Gregory leaned over. "Everything okay?" "Perfect," I smiled, patting his hand. "Your mother and I were just discussing family matters." On stage, the betrayed woman plotted her revenge. The audience gasped as she unveiled her plan. But they hadn't seen anything yet. After the show, August caught me in the lobby. Gregory's oldest friend, looking expensive in his tailored suit. The same suit he wore when he took Gregory to underground poker games. "Careful, Bonnie," he murmured, too low for others to hear. "You're poking around places you shouldn't." "Like the casino where you and Gregory lost 60,000 last month." His smile faltered. "He told you?" "He didn't have to." I stepped closer. "Here's what's going to happen. August, you're going to stay away from my husband. Or the Gaming Commission might receive an anonymous tip about certain unlicensed establishments." "You're bluffing." I pulled out my phone, showing him photos of their private games. "Try me." Later that night, Gregory came to bed smelling of whiskey. "You were amazing tonight," he slurred. "The way you handled Mother. I should have stood up for you more." I let him pull me close, ignoring the ache in my chest. Once his touch would have made everything better. Now it just reminded me of other women, other lies. "I love you," he mumbled, already half asleep. I waited until his breathing steadied before slipping out of bed. In my home office, I opened my laptop to find an email from Easton. Found the connection. Anne's been funneling money through Gregory's accounts to cover her own tracks. Sending proof now. I clicked through the attachments, each one another nail in their coffin. Tomorrow Samara would start the legal proceedings. But tonight I allowed myself one moment of pure grief for the marriage I thought I had. The woman I used to be died in that opera house tonight. In her place stood someone stronger, someone who knew exactly what needed to be done. Let them sleep soundly. The real show hadn't even started. He withdrew how much? I gripped my phone tighter, staring at the bank alert. 15,000, Samara confirmed. From your joint account 20 minutes ago. We need to move fast. I pulled up my banking app. The account was nearly empty, again. 3 days after the opera, and Gregory was getting bolder. Freeze everything, I told her. Every account he has access to. Already done. But Bonnie, there's something else. Your friend Zoe, the credit line Gregory used, it's not just maxed out, it's in default. My stomach dropped. How bad? 120,000. The bank's threatening legal action. A knock at my office door made me jump. Edith, Anne's housekeeper for 20 years, stood there wringing her hands. "Ms. Bonnie, can we talk?" I waved her in. "Samara, I'll call you back." Edith closed the door carefully, checking twice to make sure it latched. "I shouldn't be here, but I saw something at the house." "What kind of something?" "Mrs. Anne, she was burning papers in the study fireplace, banking documents. And there was a name I recognized, Bianca Wise." My heart raced. "Wise? Like Mr. Easton's daughter?" Edith nodded. "I heard Mrs. Anne on the phone. She was angry, saying something about keeping quiet about the trust." The pieces clicked. Bianca wasn't just Gregory's mistress, she was Easton's daughter, and Anne had been paying her off. My phone buzzed. "Andrea, emergency, meet me at Cafe Luna, now." "Thank you, Edith." I grabbed my purse. "Be careful, don't let Anne know you are here." 20 minutes later, I slid into a booth across from Andrea. Her hands shook as she sipped her coffee. "Aunt Anne knows I've been talking to you," she said without preamble. "She threatened to cut me out of the trust if I don't stop." "The same trust she's been stealing from. It's worse than that." Andrea lowered her voice. "Remember Gregory's ex, the one Anne paid off? She didn't just leave town. Anne fabricated evidence that she was embezzling from Gregory's first company, threatened to press charges if she didn't disappear. Do you have proof?" Andrea pulled out a USB drive. "Everything's here. Bank transfers, emails, even recorded conversations. Anne never thought I'd betray her, so she never hid anything from me." "Why are you doing this?" "Because she destroyed my mother the same way. Accused her of stealing, forced her out of the family. I was 12. Haven't seen Mom since." My phone lit up with texts. "Gregory, why can't I access our accounts?" Anne, "Call me immediately." Zoe, "Please help. The bank is threatening foreclosure." "Andrea," I said slowly, "how would you like to help me destroy Anne Walton?" She smiled, tears in her eyes. "I thought you'd never ask." Back at my office, I found August waiting. "You blocked his accounts," he said, following me inside. "Bad move, Bonnie." "Like introducing my husband to high-stakes poker? That kind of bad move?" "He came to me, said he needed quick cash to cover some mistakes." August stepped closer. "You really want to know what those mistakes were?" "I already know about Bianca, and the gambling, and Anne's embezzlement." He laughed. "You don't know shit. You think Gregory's just some rich boy gone bad? Ask yourself why Anne's really protecting him, why she's burning evidence. Tell me. Double my usual finder's fee and I'll give you everything. Bank accounts, dates, names. The real reason Anne paid off Gregory's ex. I wrote a cheque, handed it over. Talk. An hour later, I sat alone in my office, staring at the wall. The truth was worse than I'd imagined. So much worse. My phone rang. Samara. "The accounts are frozen," she said. "But Gregory's trying to access your business accounts now. Claims he has partner rights. Let him try. I've got something better." I plugged in Andrea's USB drive. "How quickly can you get a forensic accountant?" "For what?" "To trace 5 years of systematic fraud, blackmail and embezzlement. Turns out the Waltons aren't just toxic, they're criminal. Give me 2 hours." Samara paused. "Bonnie, once we start this, I know, no going back." I looked at my wedding photo, still sitting on my desk. "But they started this war. I'm just going to finish it." Another text from Gregory. "Baby, please, I can explain everything." I typed back, "Of course, dinner tomorrow night, just family." The trap was set. All the players were in position. Tomorrow night the House of Walton would fall, and I'd make sure every single one of them got exactly what they deserved. Sometimes karma needs a little help, and I was more than happy to assist. The charity gala buzzed with nervous energy. I'd made sure to invite all the right people, society columnists, business reporters, even that ambitious blogger who'd been investigating old money families. They circled the room like sharks, sensing blood in the water. "Darling," Anne air-kissed my cheeks, "what a lovely event, though perhaps a bit exposed for family matters." I gestured to the crowded ballroom. "Isn't this what you wanted, Anne? Your son's wife finally acting like proper society." Gregory appeared, looking uncomfortable in his tuxedo. "The, accounts are still frozen. Banking error," I smiled sweetly. "Being sorted out as we speak." A reporter approached, notebook in hand. "Mrs. Walton, could you comment on your son's innovative investment strategies? There are rumours of quite impressive returns." Anne's face tightened. "Gregory has always had a natural talent for finance, like his father." "Really?" I touched Gregory's arm. "Honey, tell them about that exciting new development project. The one you've been investing in." Gregory paled. That's confidential." "Oh, but everyone's talking about it," I pressed. "Especially after those interesting transactions were flagged by the Banking Commission." The reporter's pen moved faster. Anne grabbed my elbow, nails digging in. "What are you doing?" she hissed. "Creating a paper trail," I whispered back. "Isn't that what you taught Gregory? Document everything." Across the room, Andrea was chatting with the blogger, casually dropping breadcrumbs about family trusts and missing funds. Right on schedule. "Bonnie." August appeared, drink in hand. "A word?" I followed him to a quiet corner. "Make it quick. I have reporters to entertain." "This is suicide," he muttered. "You really think you can take down the Waltons? They'll destroy you." "Like they destroyed Gregory's ex or Andrea's mother?" I sipped my champagne. "Or should we discuss what really happened to that first trust fund?" "You don't understand. Gregory isn't just gambling away money, he's laundering it," I finished. "Through your poker games. Don't worry, the Gaming Commission already knows." His face went ashen. "You wouldn't. Try me." Back in the crowd, I caught snippets of conversation. "Heard the accounts are frozen." Something about missing trust money. Wasn't there another fiancé before her? Perfect. Anne was holding court near the donations table, bragging about Gregory's business acumen. I stepped up beside her. "Tell them about the start-up, Mother," I said loudly. "The one Gregory's been funding through those special accounts." Well, she faltered. "Or maybe about Bianca. She's quite the investment, isn't she?" The circle of listeners grew quiet. Anne's smile became brittle. "Perhaps we should discuss this privately," she said through clenched teeth. "Why? Isn't family business public business? That's what you taught me at that lovely dinner party." Gregory appeared, sweat beading his forehead. "Bonnie, please." "Oh, speaking of business," I waved over the banking commissioner. Gregory, didn't you want to discuss those irregular transfers, the ones from your mother's trust account? The commissioner perked up. Transfers? Anne grabbed Gregory's arm. We're leaving. Now. But the press wants photos, I called after them. Something about dynasty in crisis. That's tomorrow's headline, I believe. They practically ran for the exit. Around me, phones were out, recording everything. The blogger was typing furiously on her tablet. Samara materialised at my side. Everything's documented. Ready for tomorrow? I watched my husband and his mother flee from the truth they'd tried so hard to hide. Almost. One more dinner, one more chance for them to lie. They'll try to stop you. Let them try. I raised my glass to Andrea across the room. She nodded back, mission accomplished. The truth's already out there. They just don't know it yet. My phone buzzed. Easton. Bianca's agreed to talk. Full statement about Gregory, Anne, and the money. Meeting tomorrow morning. I typed back, perfect timing. The gala continued around me, but the damage was done. Tomorrow's papers would be full of questions about the Walton family finances. Seeds of doubt planted, waiting to bloom into full-blown scandal. Gregory texted, "What have you done?" I smiled, thinking of the dinner I'd planned for tomorrow night. The final act in this family drama. Just giving everyone what they deserve, I wrote back. See you at dinner tomorrow. Don't be late. You won't want to miss this. Let them spend one more night pretending they were still in control. Tomorrow their carefully constructed world would crumble, and I'd be there to watch it fall. Sometimes the best revenge is simply telling the truth. And I had saved up so many truths to tell. The roast lamb was perfect, the wine was flowing, and my husband's hand shook as he lifted his glass. Across our dining room table, Anne kept glancing at her phone, no doubt seeing the headlines from last night's gala spreading across social media. Lovely dinner, darling. Gregory attempted a smile. Maybe now we can discuss unfreezing the accounts. Of course, I cut into my lamb, right after we discuss Bianca. The clatter of Anne's fork hitting her plate echoed through the room. How dare you! I had a fascinating conversation with her this morning, I continued calmly. She had quite a lot to say about both of you, especially about the trust fund money. Gregory's face went white. Bonnie, whatever she told you was documented with receipts. I took a sip of wine, just like the evidence Andrea provided, and the banking records August sold me. Anne stood up so quickly her chair toppled backward. We're leaving. Gregory now. Actually, I pressed a button on my phone. You'll want to stay for this. The doorbell rang right on cue. I smiled. That would be Samara, my lawyer. Gregory lunged for the door, but I was faster. Samara walked in, briefcase in hand, followed by two men in suits. Mrs. Walton, one of them, showed his badge. I'm Detective Morris. We have some questions about certain financial irregularities. This is ridiculous, Anne sputtered. Gregory, call our lawyer. Your lawyer's already been served, Samara said, laying out documents on the dinner table, along with the Banking Commission's cease and desist order. Gregory slumped in his chair. Bonnie, please, I can explain everything, like the $23,000 charged to Bianca Wise at Chateau Royal. I slid a receipt across the table, or the $150,000 embezzled from the family trust, or maybe the offshore accounts Anne's been using to hide money from the IRS. Anne's face turned purple. You have no proof. Actually, Detective Morris interrupted, we have quite a lot of proof, including signed statements from Miss Wise and Mr. Swanson about their roles in the money laundering operation. August would never... Gregory started. He did. I pulled out my phone, played the recording. August's voice filled the room, detailing every transaction, every scheme, every lie. You recorded him? Gregory whispered. I recorded everyone. I turned to Anne. Including your conversation with Gregory's ex-fiancée 5 years ago. The one where you threatened to frame her for embezzlement if she didn't leave town. The detective stepped forward. Mrs. Walton, we'll need you to come with us. This is absurd! Anne looked wildly around the room. "Gregory, do something!" But Gregory was staring at the papers Samara had laid out: bank statements, transfer records, hotel receipts. His hands trembled as he picked up a document. "Mother!" his voice cracked. "What did you do with Dad's trust fund?" "What I had to!" Anne shrieked. "To protect you, to protect our name. This little gold digger has no idea." "Actually," Samara interrupted, "my client has a very clear idea. Clear enough to provide evidence of systematic fraud spanning 5 years. Clear enough that the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit is very interested in your family's banking activities." I stood up, pulled out one final envelope. "These are divorce papers, Gregory. Sign them now, and I won't press charges for your part in defrauding my business accounts." "You can't prove—" Zoe gave me everything. I met his eyes. Every transaction, every lie, every time you used her business to hide money for your gambling debts. The fight seemed to drain out of him. "I never meant— it wasn't supposed to— Save it for your lawyer." I pushed the papers closer. "Sign." As Gregory scrawled his signature, Anne was being read her rights. She kept screaming about family loyalty, about ungrateful wives, about the shame of it all. "Detective," I called out as they led her away, "don't forget to check the safe in her study, behind the Monet. Andrea mentioned some interesting documents stored there." Finally, it was just Gregory, Samara and me. "The papers are signed," Samara confirmed. "I'll file them first thing tomorrow." Gregory stood, shoulders slumped. "Where am I supposed to go? The plaza has a room waiting, paid for by what's left of your trust fund." I walked to the door, held it open. "Consider it my parting gift." He paused in the doorway. "I did love you, you know, in the beginning. I know. That's what made it so easy to believe all the lies that came after." After they left, I poured myself another glass of wine, looked around the dining room where I'd just demolished the mighty Walton family. My phone buzzed. "Andrea, it's done. Aunt Anne's being processed now, thank you." I smiled, raised my glass to the empty room. The truth had finally set us all free. "You lying little bitch!" Anne lunged across the conference table, her handcuffs rattling. 2 officers grabbed her shoulders, pulling her back into her seat. "Mrs. Walton," her lawyer warned, "please remain calm." We sat in the courthouse conference room, surrounded by attorneys, detectives, and financial investigators. The morning papers had exploded with headlines about the Walton family's fall from grace. "Let's review the evidence again," Samara said, maddeningly calm. "Bank statements showing systematic embezzlement from the family trust. Witness statements from both Bianca Wise and August confirming the money laundering operation. And, of course, the recorded confession from Gregory." Gregory sat at the far end of the table, looking shell-shocked. His expensive suit was wrinkled, his eyes hollow. "I trusted you," he whispered, staring at his mother. "You said the money was going to investments." "Everything I did was for you." Anne's mascara ran down her cheeks. "To protect you from women like her." She jabbed a finger at me. The lead investigator cleared his throat. "Mrs. Walton, we've traced over $2 million in misappropriated funds, money that belonged to your late husband's beneficiaries, including my mother." Andrea stepped forward, dropping a thick folder on the table. "Every transaction, every fake document, every threat you made to force her out of the family. I kept everything." Anne's face crumpled. "Andrea, darling, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly." Andrea's voice shook. "You destroyed my mother's life, just like you tried to destroy Bonnie's, just like Gregory's ex-fiancée." The door opened and Zoe slipped in, eyes red from crying. "Miss Stevenson," Samara acknowledged, "please state for the record what Gregory asked you to do with your business credit line." Zoe wouldn't look at me. He said he needed to cover some gambling debts, that his mother would replace the money once the development deal went through. But there was no deal. He used my company to hide money he was paying to Bianca. "And the amount?" Samara pressed. 120,000. Zoe's voice cracked. "The banks seized my assets. I'm losing everything." Gregory finally spoke up. "I'll pay it back, somehow." "With what money?" his lawyer interrupted. "Your accounts are frozen, your assets are under investigation, and your trust fund is empty." "Actually," I pulled out a document, "I have a proposal." All eyes turned to me as I continued. "My company will purchase Zoe's business assets at market value, covering her debts. In exchange, Gregory and Anne sign full confessions and agree to make restitution to all affected parties." "You can't be serious," Anne spat. "Dead serious." I met her gaze. "Sign the confession, or I'll make sure every society page and business journal knows exactly how you forced Gregory's ex out of the country. With proof." The room fell silent. Gregory's lawyer whispered something in his ear. "I'll sign," Gregory said quietly. "I'll tell everything." "Gregory!" Anne shrieked. "It's over, Mother." He picked up a pen. "You taught me to lie, to hide, to manipulate, and look where it got us." As Gregory began his confession, Andrea touched my arm. "There's something else. Something about my mother." "What?" "She's alive, in Toronto. Anne's been paying her to stay away all these years." I smiled. "Call her. Tell her it's safe to come home." The next hour was a blur of signatures, statements, and legal terms. Anne was led away to begin her house arrest pending trial. Gregory left with his lawyer to check into rehab, part of his plea deal. In the hallway, Zoe caught up to me. "Why?" she asked. "Why help me after what I did?" "Because 15 years of friendship means something, even if it ended badly." I handed her the purchase agreement for her business. "Sign this, and we're even. But our friendship is over." Tears rolled down her face as she signed. "I'm so sorry." "I know." I took the papers. "Goodbye, Zoe." Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Questions flew. Is it true Anne Walton embezzled millions? Did Gregory really run a gambling ring? What about the allegations of blackmail? Samara stepped forward. "My client has no comment except this. The truth always comes out." My phone buzzed. A text from Bianca. "Thank you for everything." I typed back, "Take care of yourself." Another message popped up, this one from Andrea. "Mom's booking a flight home. Want to help me surprise her?" I smiled, thinking of Anne in her mansion, alone with her lies, of Gregory in rehab, finally facing his demons, of all the lives they'd tried to destroy. "Justice doesn't always wear a black robe," I texted back to Andrea. "Sometimes it wears designer heels and carries receipts." The morning sun felt warm on my face as I walked away from the courthouse. Behind me, the mighty house of Walton lay in ruins, brought down not by force but by the simple power of truth. And I had never felt stronger. The key clicked in my new penthouse lock as Andrea helped me carry in the last box. Through floor-to-ceiling windows, the city sparkled like scattered diamonds, a view that would have made Anne seethe with jealousy. "Mom's flight lands in an hour," Andrea said, checking her phone. "I still can't believe she's really coming home." "Believe it." I unpacked a frame, my first design award, earned while the Waltons were sneering at my little hobby business. "How's the trust redistribution going?" "The lawyers found everything Anne hid. All the beneficiaries are getting their shares plus interest." She smiled, "including Mom." My phone buzzed, a news alert about Gregory. He'd completed rehab and was working at a small accounting firm, living in a modest apartment. No more gambling, no more lies. Sometimes rock bottom has a foundation you can rebuild on. "Have you heard from Zoe?" Andrea asked. "She sent an email. The business transition is complete. She's moving to Seattle. Fresh start." A knock at the door made us both turn. Samara stood there, holding a bottle of champagne and a thick envelope. "It's done," she announced, striding in. "Anne's plea deal is final. No jail time, but house arrest, full restitution, and she's barred from managing any trusts or estates." "How's she taking it?" Last I heard, she's selling the mansion. Can't afford the upkeep without the trust money she was stealing. I opened the envelope. Final divorce papers signed and filed. Gregory had surrendered all claims to my business and assets. Freedom printed in legal terminology. Speaking of business, Samara continued, that development deal you found? The legitimate one? The old theatre renovation? Board approved it this morning. Your design firm got the contract. Andrea squealed, hugging me. You're going to transform downtown. We are, I corrected her. If you still want that project manager position. Her eyes widened. Really? Really? Time to build something new. My phone lit up with a text from Bianca. Thought you should know, August got raided. Feds found everything. No more underground poker games. Good, I texted back. Stay strong. Samara popped the champagne, filling glasses. To karma. To truth, Andrea added. To freedom, I finished. Another knock, this time a delivery man with a large package. Inside was a framed magazine cover. My face, my story. Phoenix Rising. How one woman exposed a dynasty's decay. Put it there. I pointed to the wall facing the elevator. Anyone visiting would see it first thing. Andrea's phone chimed. Mom's landing early, I should go. Give her a hug for me. I walked her to the door. Dinner tomorrow, all of us? Wouldn't miss it. After she left, Samara helped me arrange furniture, turning the penthouse from empty space into home. No photos of Gregory, no Walton family heirlooms, just my achievements, my taste, my life. You know, Samara said, adjusting a lamp. Most people would have settled, taken the quiet divorce, kept the secret. Most people didn't watch their husband and his mother destroy lives for sport. True, she paused. Any regrets? I walked to the windows, looked out at my city. Somewhere down there, Anne sat alone in her mansion, counting her losses. Gregory slept in his one-bedroom apartment, learning to live without lies. August faced federal charges. Zoe packed for Seattle. No regrets, I said finally. Just lessons. Like karma needs evidence, justice needs receipts, and sometimes the best revenge is simply standing in your truth until the lies around you crumble. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Gregory. I know it doesn't matter now, but I'm sorry. For everything. You deserved better. I didn't respond. Some chapters are better left closed. Samara raised her glass. To standing in your truth. To climbing higher, I added, thinking of all those times Anne looked down on me. Now I had the best view in the city. The setting sun painted the sky gold, reflecting off my windows. Below, Andrea's car pulled away, heading to reunite with her mother. Tomorrow they'd join me for dinner, 2 more survivors of the Walton dynasty's collapse, ready to build something new. I touched the magazine cover, traced the word Phoenix. Anne once told me I'd never rise above my station. She was right about one thing, I rose far above hers instead. The city lights winked on, one by one, like stars coming out. My city, my truth, my life, finally, completely mine.
The first thing I noticed when I woke up was the beeping. Steady, mechanical, and somehow both irritating and reassuring at the same time. I couldn't open my eyes, couldn't move my lips to speak, but I could hear everything. And what I heard made me wish I was truly unconscious. She's not responding to any stimuli below the waist, a clinical voice said somewhere to my left. The spinal damage is extensive. My name is Caitlin, and 3 days ago, I was driving home from work when my brakes failed. At least, that's what they told me happened. The last thing I remember was the steering wheel jerking violently in my hands as my car careened toward the guardrail. How long before we can move forward with the power of attorney? That was Nico's voice, my husband, the man I'd shared a bed with for 6 years. His tone was all wrong, too businesslike, too calm. Mr. Morrison, your wife is in a medically induced coma. We need to. Yes, but there are financial matters that need attention. Time-sensitive matters. I wanted to scream, to reach out and grab him by the throat, but my body remained still, useless, like a puppet with cut strings. Nico's right. My mother Delaney's voice drifted in. We need to act quickly. The trust fund deadline is approaching, and she wouldn't want to suffer like this anyway. Trust fund. Of course. Grandmother's inheritance. The one she'd left specifically to me, bypassing my mother entirely. Because Delaney can't be trusted with it, she'd told me before she died. I hadn't understood then. I did now. Mrs. Summers, please lower your voice, the doctor warned. Even in a coma, patients can sometimes... Oh, please, my mother scoffed. Look at her. She can't hear anything. Footsteps approached my bed. A hand touched my arm, Nico's. I knew his touch, but now it made my skin crawl. The lawyers said if we can get power of attorney, we can redirect the trust before it fully vests. We just need to move quickly. And you're sure about the brake lines? My father, Rodney's voice, usually so passive, held an edge I'd never heard before. Rod, my mother hissed. Not here. The brake lines, the crash. It wasn't an accident. The realization hit me like a second impact, stealing what little breath I could draw. My own family, my own husband. I'll have the papers drawn up, Nico said smoothly. We can file them tomorrow. The doctors said there's no guarantee she'll wake up anyway, and even if she does, she'll be in no condition to manage her affairs, my mother finished. It's really for the best. They continued talking, plotting, their voices fading as they moved toward the door. I lay there, trapped in my useless body, rage building like a pressure cooker. Then I felt it, the slight weight of my phone, still in the pocket of my hospital gown. They hadn't thought to remove it. With every ounce of concentration I possessed, I focused on moving my right index finger. Just one finger, just enough. The effort made my head pound, but I felt it twitch, again, until finally, I managed to slide my hand beneath the blanket. One more push, one more impossible movement. My finger found the phone's side button. 3 quick presses, the shortcut I'd set up for voice recording. A faint vibration confirmed it was working. We should meet with Leon tomorrow, Nico was saying. Get him to start the transfer process. What about Pierce? My mother asked. Can he be trusted? Pierce knows what's at stake. He'll play his part. Their voices grew clearer as they approached my bed again. Perfect for the recording. I'll come back tonight, Nico said, his footsteps stopping beside me. He leaned down, his lips brushing my forehead in a mockery of affection. Sleep well, darling. The door clicked shut behind them, leaving me alone with the steady beeping of monitors and the weight of betrayal crushing my chest. But beneath the pain, beneath the fury, a cold clarity emerged. They thought I was helpless. They thought they could steal my inheritance, my autonomy, maybe even my life. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd underestimated me, and now I had proof. My finger twitched again, stopping the recording. It wasn't much, but it was a start. They didn't know I could hear them, didn't know I could move at all. And that ignorance would be their downfall, because while they plotted to take everything from me, they'd given me something powerful in return. A purpose. I would lie here, silent and still, gathering evidence. And when the time was right, I would make them pay for every word, every lie, every betrayal. Let them think I was broken. I would show them exactly how wrong they were. Days blurred together in a haze of beeping monitors and hushed conversations. Every morning, Nico would arrive with fresh flowers and empty words, playing the part of devoted husband perfectly. The doctors say you're stable now, he'd whisper, holding my limp hand. "We're all praying for you, sweetheart." Then he'd check his phone, thinking I couldn't see the slight smile when certain messages came through. My parents were worse. They didn't even bother with the pretense when they thought they were alone. "The trust manager is being difficult," my mother complained one afternoon. "Leon keeps insisting on waiting." "He's just being cautious," my father replied, "after what happened with grandmother's estate." "Don't start with that again, Rod. She left everything to Caitlin out of spite. Pure spite. As if I hadn't taken care of her for years. I remembered differently. Remembered grandmother's warnings about my mother's spending habits, her manipulation, her endless schemes to access the family money. "Watch her closely," grandmother had told me. "She'll smile while she steals the silver." The door opened, interrupting their conversation. "Mr. and Mrs. Summers?" A nurse's voice. "There's a call for you at the nurse's station. Something about insurance paperwork." After they left, I felt a gentle touch on my arm. "They're gone now," the nurse whispered. "I saw your fingers move yesterday. I know you can hear me. My name is Mia, and I want to help." My heart raced, but I kept still, unsure if this was a trap. "Listen," Mia continued. "I'm going to leave my phone under your pillow. It's an old one, but it works. The voice-to-text is already open. If you can move at all, use it. I'll check it when I change your sheets." She slipped away as footsteps approached. My mother's voice carried down the hall. "Nico says Pierce is getting nervous. We need to move faster." That night, after everyone had gone, I forced my fingers to move. Each tap felt like lifting a mountain, but slowly, painfully, I managed to type. "Need help. Contact Jocelyn McBride, estate lawyer. Tell her Caitlin needs her. Emergency." The next morning, Mia retrieved her phone during rounds. Hours later, she returned. "Jocelyn is coming," she whispered, while checking my IV. "She'll be here tomorrow, disguised as a medical consultant." True to her word, Jocelyn arrived the next day. I heard her heels clicking on the floor, remembered how she used to say you could intimidate anyone with the right pair of shoes. "I need to examine the patient alone," she announced firmly. Standard legal protocol for potential malpractice cases. Once the room was clear, she moved close. "Jesus, Caitlin," she breathed. "What have they done to you?" I twitched my fingers, our old signal from law school when we wanted to talk privately. She caught it immediately. "You're conscious," she said, "and they don't know." "Okay, listen. I've been looking into the trust. Nico's been meeting with Leon secretly for weeks before your accident. And there's more. Large withdrawals from your joint accounts, suspicious transfers. Something big was happening." My fingers twitched again. "Right," she said, pulling out her phone. "I'm recording everything now. Save your strength. Just listen." She detailed what she'd found. Nico's failing business ventures, hidden debt, desperate attempts to access my trust fund, my mother's involvement in changing medical directives, Pierce's suspicious meetings. "But here's what they don't know," Jocelyn said, satisfaction coloring her voice. "Your grandmother added a clause. If anyone attempts to seize control of the trust through medical power of attorney, everything goes to charity. They can't touch it unless you're dead." The implication hung heavy in the air. If they couldn't control the trust while I was incapacitated. "I've alerted Leon," she continued. "He's playing along with them for now, gathering evidence. We'll protect you, Caitlin. Just keep playing dead while we build the case." She squeezed my hand. "I have to go. Mia will help us communicate. We'll get these bastards, I promise." After she left, I lay there processing everything. They hadn't just tried to paralyze me. They'd tried to kill me. And they might try again, once they realized their current plan wouldn't work. Mia returned later with fresh sheets. As she leaned close to adjust my pillow, she whispered, Your mother's been asking about medication schedules. I've switched your chart with another patient's. They won't know what you're really receiving. I managed to move my thumb slightly. Thank you. Rest now, she said. Build your strength. You're going to need it. She was right, because now I knew the truth, and I had allies. Let them think they were in control. Let them think I was helpless. Their arrogance would be their undoing. I just had to stay alive long enough to destroy them all. Mia became my lifeline. Every night after her shift started at 11, she'd help me with small exercises. Tiny movements at first, finger flexes, wrist rotations, toe curls. Each motion was agony, but it was progress. My father was like you, she told me one night while massaging my rigid muscles. After his stroke, everyone thought he was gone. His new wife tried to sell his house right out from under him, but he could hear everything, could feel everything. What happened? I managed to whisper, my voice barely audible after weeks of disuse. He waited, gathered evidence, then he got better and took everything back. She smiled grimly. She didn't see it coming. The door creaked, and Mia quickly resumed her professional posture. It was just the night janitor, but we couldn't risk being discovered. During the day, I played my part. Nico would visit, reading emails, or making calls while pretending to keep me company. My parents dropped by less frequently, always with questions for the medical staff about my condition. The physical therapist thinks we should try passive movement exercises, my mother told Nico one afternoon, to prevent muscle atrophy. Is that necessary? Nico asked sharply. The doctors said recovery was unlikely. It's standard procedure, the therapist, David, explained. We'll start tomorrow. That night, Mia helped me prepare. David's one of the good ones, she whispered. I told him you're conscious. He'll help. The next day, David arrived with his equipment. Let's see what we're working with, he said loudly, then lowered his voice once we were alone. Mia told me everything. Follow my lead. He began moving my legs, testing resistance. To anyone watching through the window, it looked like standard therapy, but he was actually assessing my real capabilities. You've been exercising, he murmured approvingly. Good girl. Let's build on that. Over the next few days, David's sessions became my sanctuary. He taught me to control my breathing, to engage muscles systematically, to build strength without showing improvement. Then Jocelyn visited again, this time with news that made my blood run cold. Pierce talked, she said under the guise of checking my charts. He was drunk at a bar last night. Started rambling about Rose, your cousin. Apparently, they've been seeing each other for months. And get this, Rose was with Nico the night before your accident. My fingers clenched involuntarily. There's more, Jocelyn continued. Leon found some interesting transfers, large sums moving between accounts linked to Pierce, Rose, and Nico. All dated just before your crash. A knock at the door made us both freeze. Mia stuck her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but Mrs. Summers is on her way up. Jocelyn gathered her things quickly. Keep fighting, she whispered. We're close to something big. That evening, I had my first breakthrough. During therapy, when David was helping me sit up, I managed to hold the position for several seconds on my own. His eyes widened, but he maintained his professional demeanor. That's enough for today, he said normally, then whispered, You're recovering faster than expected. We need to be careful. He was right. That night, I overheard Nico on the phone in my room, thinking I was asleep. The medication should have been enough, he hissed. No, listen to me, Pierce. We need to move faster. Rose is getting nervous. No, I don't care about your guilt. We're all in this together. After he left, Mia slipped in with her phone. Got it all recorded, she said. Jocelyn's going to love this.
but our small victory was short-lived. The next morning, my mother arrived with a new doctor I'd never seen before. "Dr. Roberts specializes in long-term care facilities," she announced brightly. "We think it might be time to discuss moving you somewhere more appropriate." My heart raced. They were trying to isolate me. "The transfer would need to happen soon," the doctor said, "within the week." "Perfect," my mother replied. "We'll make the arrangements." After they left, Mia rushed in. "Did you hear?" I managed a small nod. "Don't worry," she said, checking my IV. "Jocelyn's already working on blocking the transfer, but Caitlin—" She hesitated. "We need to accelerate our timeline. You're not safe here anymore." She was right. The time for waiting was over. I needed to stand up, literally and figuratively, sooner than planned. "Tonight," I whispered. Mia nodded, understanding. "I'll tell David to bring the walking frame. If you're ready to fight, we're ready to help." I was more than ready. I was done being the victim in their story. It was time to become the author of their nightmare. The walking frame felt cold against my palms as David and Mia positioned me at the edge of the bed. 3 a.m. The quietest hour in the hospital, when even the night nurses dozed at their stations. "Remember," David whispered, "small steps. Don't push too hard." My legs trembled as I put weight on them for the first time in weeks. Pain shot through my spine, but I gritted my teeth and pushed through it. "That's it," Mia encouraged, supporting my right side. "Just like we practiced. One step, another." Each movement felt like walking through concrete, but I was moving. Actually, moving. The door opened suddenly, and we all froze. A young nurse I didn't recognize stood there, mouth agape. "It's okay, Amanda," Mia said quickly. "Close the door." Amanda slipped inside, eyes wide. "I thought everyone said she was—" "She is," David cut in firmly. "Officially. And it needs to stay that way, unless you want her family to finish what they started." Understanding dawned on Amanda's face. "The husband. I heard him on the phone earlier talking about moving her to some facility. He sounded wrong." "Exactly," Mia said. "So now you have a choice. Are you with us or not?" Amanda straightened her scrubs. "What do you need?" With another ally, our night sessions became more productive. Amanda would watch the halls, while David pushed me harder in therapy. Within days, I could stand unassisted for several minutes. But our progress wasn't fast enough. Jocelyn arrived one morning with urgent news. "They're meeting with Leon today," she said, pacing my room. "Pierce cracked under pressure and told Rose everything. She's demanding more money to stay quiet." My hand twitched toward Mia's phone on the bedside table. She helped me type, "What about the transfer?" "Your mother's pushing for it. The new facility is suspicious. Very isolated. Limited visiting hours." Jocelyn's face darkened. "We can delay it legally for maybe 3 days, but after that—" A knock interrupted us. Through the window, I saw Pierce himself standing awkwardly in the hallway. Jocelyn quickly assumed her medical consultant pose as he entered. "I brought flowers," he said, not meeting anyone's eyes. His hands shook as he placed them on the windowsill. After he left, Mia checked the bouquet. "There's a note," she said, unfolding a small paper. Her eyes widened as she read it. "What?" Jocelyn demanded. "I'm sorry," Mia read. "Check the brake fluid report, page 3. Jocelyn was already on her phone, typing furiously. "Got it. The lab analysis. Holy shit. The brake lines weren't just cut. They were tampered with over time. Gradually. Someone who had regular access to your car." "Nico," I whispered. "And there's more," she continued scrolling. "Traces of the same corrosive substance were found in the garage at Rose's apartment complex." The pieces clicked together. Rose and Nico had planned it together, using Pierce as their unwitting accomplice. Now, Pierce was growing a conscience. That night, during therapy, my legs gave out. I crashed to the floor, tears of frustration burning my eyes. "Get up," David said firmly. "You can do this." "They're going to kill me," I gasped. "Once I'm in that facility." "Then we don't let them get you there," Mia said, helping me up. "Amanda overheard your mother making the transfer arrangements for Friday morning." 2 days, I managed, gripping the walking frame. "Not enough time." "It has to be," David insisted. "Again." We worked through the night. By morning, I could walk the length of the room with just a cane. It wasn't pretty, but it was movement. Nico visited that afternoon, bringing his usual false cheer and a cup of coffee that he sipped while checking his phone. "Good news, honey," he said. "We found a wonderful facility, very peaceful. You'll be so well cared for there." I wanted to smash that coffee cup into his perfect teeth. Instead, I lay still, gathering intelligence as he made calls. "Everything's set," he told someone. "Friday morning." "Yes, Rose, I know. Just keep Pierce quiet for 2 more days. The insurance papers are ready. Once it's done, we'll have everything we need." After he left, Mia burst in. "Your mother's meeting Leon in an hour. Jocelyn's already there, wired for sound." I gripped the bedsheet, mind racing. 2 days. 2 days to master walking, to gather our evidence, to prepare for whatever they had planned. "Tonight," I said firmly. "We do the full hallway." Mia nodded. "I'll tell David. And Caitlin?" She squeezed my hand. "We won't let them win." Neither would I. Because while they plotted my quiet disposal, they had no idea I was plotting something too, their complete and very public destruction. Thursday morning arrived with a flurry of activity. My mother swept in early, trailing expensive perfume and false concern, accompanied by Dr. Roberts and 2 facility representatives. "We'll handle all the arrangements," she assured them. "My daughter will receive the best care possible." Through barely open eyes, I watched them examine me like a piece of furniture being appraised for moving. "The facility has excellent security," one representative said. "Very private, no unauthorized visitors." "Perfect," my mother replied. "That's exactly what we need." The moment they left, Mia slipped in. "Jocelyn's here. Something big happened." Jocelyn entered, practically vibrating with nervous energy. "Pierce came clean," she whispered. "Completely clean. Signed a full confession this morning." My fingers twitched toward the phone. Mia helped me type. "Why?" "Rose dumped him. Threatened to pin everything on him. He panicked." Jocelyn pulled out her tablet. "Listen to this." Pierce's voice, shaky but clear, filled the room. "It started 6 months ago. Nico was in trouble, bad investments, hidden debt. He knew about Caitlin's trust fund, but couldn't access it. Then Rose suggested. She said if Caitlin was incapacitated, they could take control. Make it look like an accident." My hands clenched into fists. "They used my garage," Pierce continued. "Rose worked at a chemical lab. She knew what to use on the brake lines. Something that would look like normal wear and tear. Nico would bring Caitlin's car in for maintenance when she was working late. I thought they were just going to hurt her enough for the power of attorney. I didn't know about the medication." Jocelyn stopped the recording. "He's working with the police now. They're building a case, but they need more time. If we can just delay the transfer tomorrow." A commotion in the hallway cut her off. Nico's voice, raised in anger. "What do you mean he confessed? Where is he?" "Quick," Mia hissed, helping Jocelyn hide in the bathroom just as Nico burst in. He paced the room, phone pressed to his ear. "Listen to me, Rose. Calm down. No, don't leave town. Just stick to the plan. Once she's in the facility." "Yes, I'll handle Pierce." After he stormed out, Jocelyn emerged. "They're desperate now. They'll try something tonight." Then we move now, I whispered. Mia nodded, already texting David. Within minutes, he arrived with the walking frame. Show me, I demanded. For the next hour, they helped me walk, turn, even manage a few steps without support. Each movement was agony, but determination burned hotter than pain. Your mother's coming back, Amanda warned, poking her head in. With the doctor. Quick, Mia said, helping me back to bed. Jocelyn, the closet. I settled into my practiced stillness just as they entered. We should start the sedation tonight, Dr. Roberts was saying. Make tomorrow's transfer easier. Whatever you think is best, my mother replied smoothly. After they left, Mia checked my chart. They've ordered new medication, strong sedatives. They're not taking chances, Jocelyn said, emerging from hiding. If you're going to make a move, it has to be tonight. The trust meeting, I managed to say. Tomorrow morning. Jocelyn's eyes lit up. Leon's office. They're all gathering to finalize the paperwork before the transfer. 9 a.m. Perfect, I whispered. We spent the next hours preparing. David worked me harder than ever, while Mia and Amanda gathered supplies. Jocelyn coordinated with Leon, setting our trap. At midnight, Nico returned. He stood by my bed for a long time, just watching. I'm sorry it had to be this way, he said finally. But you never would have given me what I needed. Tomorrow, it'll all be over. He leaned down to kiss my forehead. It took everything I had not to recoil. After he left, Mia helped me up. Ready? I gripped the walking frame. One more time. Full circuit. We practiced until dawn. By morning, I could walk well enough to make an entrance, if not a graceful one. It would have to be enough. Jocelyn arrived early with clothes, a black pantsuit I'd worn to court countless times. Your armor, she said with a grim smile. As Mia helped me dress, Amanda kept watch. They're preparing the transfer documents now, she reported. Your mother's already left for the meeting. I looked in the mirror, seeing myself clearly for the first time in weeks. I was thinner, paler, but my eyes burned with purpose. The car's waiting downstairs, Jocelyn said. Leon's keeping them busy until we arrive. I gripped my cane, not just for support now, but as a weapon of sorts. They thought they were gathering to seal my fate. Instead, they were walking into their own destruction. Let's go, I said, taking my first step toward revenge. It's time they saw a ghost. Leon's office building loomed before us, all glass and steel. Jocelyn parked in the underground garage, away from the main entrance. They're all here, she said, checking her phone. Leon's stalling them with paperwork details. My legs trembled as I stepped out of the car. Mia steadied me, adjusting my suit jacket. Remember, short steps. Don't push too hard. The service elevator took us to the 10th floor. Through the glass walls of the conference room, I could see them. Nico standing by the window, my mother examining documents, my father sitting quietly. Rose paced nervously, while Pierce stared at his hands. Leon sat at the head of the table, deliberately taking his time reviewing each page. Ready, Jocelyn whispered, holding up her phone. Everything's recording. I nodded, gripping my cane tighter. The signature pages are quite clear, Leon was saying as we approached. Once Mrs. Morrison is declared legally incompetent, which she is, my mother interrupted. The doctors have confirmed. Actually, I said, pushing open the door, they haven't. The silence was absolute. 6 faces turned to me, frozen in various stages of shock. Nico's coffee cup slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor. Caitlin, my father whispered. Impossible, my mother breathed. You're paralyzed, comatose, or just conveniently unable to stop you from stealing my inheritance? I stepped forward, each click of my cane on the hardwood floor like a gunshot. Rose bolted for the door. Jocelyn blocked her path. "Sit down," she ordered. "You'll want to hear this." "How?" Nico started, then caught himself. "Darling, you should be in the hospital. You're not well." "Play it," I told Jocelyn. She pressed play on her phone. Nico's voice filled the room. "The medication should have been enough." "No. Listen to me, Pierce. We need to move faster." Color drained from his face. Pierce put his head in his hands. "Oh, there's more," I said, nodding to Leon. He pressed a button on his desk phone. "Send them in." 2 police detectives entered, followed by a man in a lab coat. "Dr. Phillips," the detective said, "please explain what you found in Mrs. Morrison's toxicology report." The doctor opened his file. Elevated levels of multiple sedatives, far exceeding prescribed doses. Additionally, traces of chemicals consistent with brake line corrosion were found in samples from the victim's garage. "Interesting timing," I said, watching Nico's face. "Right before my accident, when you were doing all that helpful car maintenance." "You can't prove anything," my mother snapped, but her voice shook. "Actually," Leon interjected, "we can. Pierce's confession this morning was quite detailed, and Rose's lab access records make fascinating reading." Rose crumpled in her chair. "Nico promised no one would get hurt. It was just supposed to be enough to get control of the trust." "Shut up!" Nico shouted, lunging toward her. The detectives moved quickly, restraining him. "Nicholas Morrison," the detective began, "you're under arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy to commit fraud." "You bitch," my mother spat at me. "After everything we've done for you." "Everything you've done?" I stepped closer, my voice low. "Like trying to kill me for money? Like planning to drug me into submission in some hidden facility?" "Delaney and Rodney Summers," the second detective said. "You're also under arrest. Rose Mann, Pierce Lucas, you'll need to come with us as well." As they were led away in handcuffs, my mother turned back. "You'll regret this. Family is all you have." "No," I said firmly. "Family is supposed to love you, not try to murder you for money. The only thing I regret is not seeing through you sooner." After they were gone, I finally allowed my legs to give out. Jocelyn helped me into a chair while Mia checked my pulse. "You did it," Leon said, smiling. "Your grandmother would be proud." "The trust?" I asked. "Safe," he confirmed. "And with the evidence we've gathered, they won't see a penny of it. Or anything else, for that matter. Prison tends to limit one's financial options." Mia handed me water. "The hospital's expecting you back, but this time as a regular patient, not a prisoner." I nodded, exhausted but satisfied. "What happens now?" "Now," Jocelyn said, gathering the evidence files. "You focus on healing. Let the lawyers handle the rest." Looking around the conference room where my family had planned to seal my fate, I felt strangely empty. Victory tasted different than I'd imagined. Less sweet, more complex. But as Mia helped me up, I caught my reflection in the window. I was standing, breathing, living, and that was the greatest revenge of all. The courthouse buzzed with tension. 3 months after the arrests, I sat in the front row, my cane resting against my knee, watching my family file in wearing orange jumpsuits. "All rise," the bailiff called. Nico wouldn't look at me as he passed. My mother, on the other hand, stared directly at me, her face a mask of cold fury. My father kept his eyes on the floor. "The defendants will remain standing," Judge Harrison ordered. "Before we proceed with sentencing, would any of you like to address the court?" Pierce spoke first, his voice trembling. "I'm sorry. I knew it was wrong, but I was a coward. I deserve whatever punishment I get." Rose tried next, tears streaming down her face. "I never meant for anyone to get hurt. Nico said it would be simple." "Lying bitch!" Nico suddenly exploded, lunging against his restraints. "You're the one who suggested the brake lines." "Order!" The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. My mother stood straighter. "I have something to say." She turned to face me. "Everything I did was for this family. You were always ungrateful, always thinking you knew better, just like your grandmother." "Mrs. Summers," the judge warned. "You think you've won?" she continued, ignoring him. "You've destroyed this family. Are you happy now?" I gripped my cane and pushed myself to my feet. "No, Mother, I'm not happy. I'm alive, despite your best efforts." The judge cleared his throat. "Having reviewed all evidence and considering the severity of these crimes, this court sentences the defendants as follows." He addressed each one individually. Pierce and Rose received 5 years each for conspiracy. My father got 8 years for his role. My mother and Nico both received 20 years for attempted murder and conspiracy. "You'll pay for this," Nico snarled as they led him away. "You think it's over? I'll—" "Remove the defendant," the judge ordered. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Jocelyn helped shield me from their cameras while Mia brought the car around. "Ms. Morrison," they called. "How does it feel to see your family convicted? Will you write a book about your experience? Any comment on the inheritance that sparked this tragedy?" I paused at the top of the steps. "My only comment is this. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. And real family doesn't try to kill you for money." Back at my apartment, a new one, with better security, David was waiting to start our therapy session. "You're pushing yourself too hard," he observed as I struggled with the walking exercises. "I need to be stronger," I insisted. "You're already stronger than anyone I know," he replied. "But healing takes time." Later that evening, Leon visited with final paperwork. "The trust is completely secure now," he said, spreading documents across my coffee table. "And I've arranged for the sale of your parents' house as requested. The proceeds will go to a foundation for victims of family fraud." "Good," I said, signing where he indicated. "What about Nico's business assets?" "Liquidated. His partner bought everything at auction." "Oh, and this came for you." He handed me an envelope. Inside was a letter from Pierce, written from prison. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I want you to know the whole truth. I've attached records of every conversation, every meeting. Maybe it will help you understand." A knock at the door interrupted my reading. It was Amanda, off her hospital shift. "Brought you something," she said, holding up a bag. "Real food, not that hospital garbage." As we sat eating takeout, my phone buzzed with a text from Jocelyn. "Turn on the news." The headline scrolled across the screen. "Prominent family's murder plot exposed. Daughter's incredible story of survival." "They're calling you an inspiration," Amanda said. I switched off the TV. "I don't feel inspiring. I feel tired." "That's allowed," Mia said, arriving for her evening visit. "You've been through hell." "But you crawled out," David added, joining us with his therapy equipment. "Ready for your evening session?" I nodded, gripping my cane. Each step was still a battle, but a different kind now. Not a fight for survival, but for healing. "Your grandmother would be proud," Leon said quietly. Looking around at these people, my new family, chosen rather than born into, I felt something shift inside me. The anger that had fueled my revenge was fading, replaced by something else. Not peace exactly, but purpose. "Time to stand up again," David encouraged. So I did, leaving my cane behind. One step at a time, moving forward. Because that's what survivors do. We keep walking, even when the path ahead is uncertain. And sometimes, that's the greatest victory of all. The autumn wind rustled through the cemetery as I placed fresh flowers on my grandmother's grave. My steps were steady now, the cane long since retired to a corner of my apartment. "You were right about everything," I told her headstone. "I should have listened sooner." She knew you'd figure it out eventually, Leon said, standing respectfully behind me. That's why she left you the trust. A twig snapped nearby. I turned to see Rose, thinner and paler than I remembered, recently released from prison. I didn't know anyone would be here, she said, clutching a small bouquet. I can go. Stay, I said. She was your grandmother too. Rose placed her flowers next to mine. I got your letters, the ones you sent to the prison. I never answered, because… how could I? Why did you come today? She wiped her eyes. Because this is where it started, the day of the funeral, when Nico approached me about the trust. I should have said no. But you didn't. No, I didn't. She looked at me directly. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that every word in Pierce's confession was true. And I'm sorry. My phone buzzed, a text from Jocelyn. Meeting with the foundation board in 30. Where are you? I have to go, I told Rose. The foundation keeps me busy. I saw it on the news, she said. Helping other victims of family fraud. It's good. Really good. As I turned to leave, she called after me. Caitlin, Mother's been writing to me from prison, trying to scheme even now. Some people never change. No, I agreed, they don't. At the foundation's offices, Mia was waiting with coffee. She'd left nursing to become our victim advocate, using her experience to help others. Ready for this? She asked as we entered the boardroom. David was there, presenting a new physical therapy program for trauma survivors. Amanda had developed a hospital screening protocol to identify potential victims. Even Pierce, still in prison, contributed by video link, sharing insights into how predators chose their targets. The support network is growing, Jocelyn reported. We've helped 20 families this month alone. Speaking of families, Leon interjected, there's something you should know. Nico's been causing trouble in prison, trying to contact other inmates' families, starting new schemes. Let him try, I said. We're watching now, all of us. That evening, I visited the hospital where it all began. Not as a patient, but as a speaker for the medical staff training program. Trust your instincts, I told them. Like Mia did, like Amanda did. You might be someone's only chance. Afterward, in the parking lot, I heard footsteps behind me. My body tensed, ready for fight or flight. Old habits die hard. But it was just a young nurse, eyes bright with tears. My sister, she said. What you described, it's happening to her right now. Can you help? That's why we're here, I said, taking out my card. Call this number, day or night. At home, I found a package waiting. Inside was my grandmother's diary, sent by a distant cousin who'd found it in storage. The final entry read, Caitlin will face challenges. They'll try to break her. But she has something they don't understand. The strength to stand alone. And when she finds her true family, the ones who choose her, she'll be unstoppable. My phone lit up with messages. Mia sharing success stories from today's support group. David sending videos of his patient's progress. Amanda reporting suspicious patterns she'd noticed at work. Jocelyn planning our next legal advocacy campaign. A new message popped up. From Pierce. Another inmate approached me. Said Nico offered him a deal. I'm reporting it to the warden, but thought you should know. I smiled grimly. Let Nico plot. Let my mother scheme. They didn't understand that they'd given me something invaluable, the knowledge that I could survive anything. And I wasn't alone anymore. The doorbell rang. My new family arrived for our weekly dinner tradition. Mia, David, Amanda, Jocelyn, Leon. Even Rose, tentatively accepting her first invitation. To survival, Mia toasted. To justice, Jocelyn added. To family, I said. The ones we choose. Looking around at these faces, the nurse who believed me, the therapist who helped me stand, the lawyer who fought for me, the friends who became more than blood ever was. I finally felt it. Not just survival, not just justice, peace. Because sometimes the family you're born with shows you exactly what you don't want to be. And the family you build shows you exactly who you were meant to become.
I held the cashier's check in my hands, staring at the numbers that represented 5 years of my life. $217,000. The final payment on my parents' mortgage. My fingers trembled slightly as I traced the edges of the paper, remembering all the double shifts at the hospital, the missed vacations, the dates I'd cancelled because I picked up extra hours. My name is Wendy, and I thought this moment would feel different. Are you sure you want to do this, honey? Mum's voice carried that familiar note of concern that always made me feel both loved and slightly patronised. You could use this money for yourself. I smiled, the same smile I'd perfected over years of being the responsible one. It's what I've been working toward, Mum. I want to do this. Dad stood by the kitchen counter, arms crossed, watching. He hadn't said much since I arrived, but that wasn't unusual. The kitchen still smelled like the coffee he'd made earlier, probably the same brand they'd been buying since I was a kid. Well, he finally spoke, reaching for the check. We appreciate it. That was it. No tears, no hugs, no celebration. Just, we appreciate it. Like I'd bought them dinner, not sacrificed half a decade of my life to free them from debt. I forced myself to maintain the smile. I thought maybe we could go out to dinner, celebrate. Oh, sweetie, Mum glanced at her watch. We actually have plans with Ray tonight. He's pitching his new business idea to some investors. But maybe this weekend, of course. Ray. My younger brother, the eternal entrepreneur, always chasing the next big thing. I nodded, swallowing the familiar disappointment. Sure, this weekend works. 3 days later, I was having coffee with my cousin Celeste when my world tilted on its axis. That was so generous of you paying off the mortgage, she said, stirring her latte, especially with them taking out a new one so soon. I froze, my cup halfway to my lips. What? Celeste's eyes widened. Oh, you didn't know? Uncle Gene was talking about it at the family barbecue last week. Something about Ray's new tech startup. The coffee turned bitter in my mouth. How much? I shouldn't have said anything. Celeste, how much? She wouldn't meet my eyes. 250,000. I set my cup down carefully, too carefully, like it might shatter if I moved too quickly. Or maybe I was the one who might shatter. That evening, I drove to my parents' house. The same house I'd just freed from debt. The porch light was on, welcoming me home like always. Funny how things could look exactly the same when everything had changed. They were both in the living room when I walked in. Mum was doing her crossword puzzle, Dad watching the news. Is it true? My voice sounded strange, even to me. Did you remortgage the house for Ray? The silence that followed was answer enough. Wendy, Dad finally said, muting the TV, it's not what you think. Really? Because I think you took out a loan bigger than what I just paid off and gave it to Ray without even telling me. Your brother has a real opportunity here, Mum interjected. This could be his big break. Like the food delivery app was his big break, or the social media platform for pets. That's not fair, Dad's voice hardened. Ray takes risks. Sometimes that's what success requires. I laughed, a sharp sound that surprised even me. And my risk, my sacrifice, what was that? Nobody asked you to pay off our mortgage, Dad said flatly. That was your choice. The words hit like a physical blow. Mum must have seen something in my face because she stood up, reaching for me. Sweetie, we're grateful. We are. But this is our house. We don't owe you explanations about what we do with it. I stepped back from her touch. The room felt too small, too warm, too familiar. Every family photo on the wall, every worn cushion on the couch, every memory suddenly felt like a lie. You're right, I said quietly. You don't owe me explanations. I turned and walked out, ignoring Mom calling my name. In my car, I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white, staring at the house I'd sacrificed so much to save. The house that was now leveraged for Ray's latest dream. They didn't owe me explanations. But I was starting to realise exactly what I owed them, and I would pay that debt in full. The Excel spreadsheet on my laptop screen told a story, one of systematic financial entanglement that made my stomach turn. I sat at my kitchen table, methodically listing every shared account, every co-signed loan, every automatic payment that connected me to my family. "Girl, this is wild," Erin said, peering over my shoulder at the growing list. She'd brought wine, but neither of us had touched it. This required clarity. "I knew you were helping them, but this is like financial abuse. Netflix, Hulu, Prime," I muttered, typing. "All in my name because Dad said their credit wasn't good enough for streaming services." I laughed hollowly. But apparently it was good enough for a $250,000 mortgage. "What about Ray's car loan?" Erin asked. "The one you co-signed?" I clicked to another tab. Still 3 years left on it. Payments coming from my account because he was between ventures 6 months ago. "Cancel it all," Erin said firmly. "Every single thing." My phone buzzed. A text from Mum. "Dinner this weekend? We miss you." I ignored it, focusing instead on the laptop. One by one, I started closing accounts. Netflix cancelled. Hulu cancelled. The family cell phone plan I'd been managing since college terminated, effective end of billing cycle. "What about Ray's car insurance?" Erin pointed at the screen. "That's next," I said, pulling up the insurance website. "He missed 3 payments last month. I covered them because I didn't want my credit score to take a hit." "And now?" "Now?" I clicked cancel policy. He can figure it out himself. My phone buzzed again. Ray this time. "Hey sis, insurance company says there's some issue. Can you check?" I put the phone face down. "You know they're going to freak out," Erin warned. "Probably." I opened my email, creating a new account under a fake name, routing it through a VPN. But I'm done being the family ATM. The doorbell rang. Erin answered while I kept working. She returned with a manila envelope. "Delivery for you," she said, handing it over. Inside was a glossy brochure for Ray's new startup, MediMatch, apparently the future of personalised healthcare. I flipped through it, my blood running colder with each page. "Look at this," I showed Erin. "Medical Advisory Board, Dr. Wendy Sherman, nurse practitioner." "What?" Erin grabbed the brochure. "Did you agree to this?" "Never." My hands were shaking. "He's using my credentials to legitimise his company, without my knowledge. That's illegal." "Yes," I said slowly, an idea forming. "It is." My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. "Your mother's upset. Call her." Instead, I opened my laptop and searched for Danielle Fox, tech journalist. Her articles about exposing fraudulent startups populated the screen. "What are you thinking?" Erin asked, watching me. "I'm thinking it's time someone looked closer at MediMatch." I started drafting an email. "And I know just who might be interested." "Wendy," Erin's voice was careful, "this is your family we're talking about." I stopped typing and looked at her. "They stopped being family the moment they took my sacrifice and used it to fund Ray's dreams instead. Just be careful. Revenge can backfire." "This isn't revenge," I said, turning back to the laptop. "This is consequences." I spent the next hour documenting everything. Screenshots of the brochure, Ray's LinkedIn profile touting my involvement, emails where he dodged my questions about the company. I attached them all to the email to Danielle. My phone kept buzzing. Mum again. "Why is Netflix not working?" Then Ray. "Insurance company won't reinstate without payment. Need help ASAP. Dad. Family meeting, tomorrow, 6 p.m. Be there." I ignored them all, focusing on the email. Finally, I hit send. "What now?" Erin asked. I opened my banking app and started closing joint accounts. Now we wait. And while we wait, I'm going to make sure that when everything falls apart, I'm not caught in the debris. "They're going to say you're being cruel." I thought about the mortgage, about years of sacrifice dismissed with "we don't owe you explanations." "Maybe," I said, cancelling the last automatic payment to Ray's car loan, but I learnt from the best. My phone buzzed one final time. A new email notification from Danielle Fox. Subject, MediMatch investigation. Interesting tip. Would like to meet in person. When are you available? I smiled, feeling a cold satisfaction settle over me. "Actually," I said to Erin, reaching for the untouched wine, "now might be a good time for that drink, because tomorrow..." Tomorrow I would start dismantling everything my brother had built on the foundation of my stolen credentials, and I would do it with the same quiet efficiency I'd once used to support them. The coffee shop was busy enough that no one would overhear us, but quiet enough that we could talk. Danielle Fox looked exactly like her Twitter profile, sharp eyes behind thick-rimmed glasses, a notebook in hand, and an expression that said she could smell a story from miles away. "So," she said, stirring her Americano, "tell me about Medimatch." I pulled out my tablet, sliding it across the table. "Everything's here. Company registration documents, marketing materials, investor pitch decks, all of them using my medical credentials without consent." Danielle scrolled through the files, her eyebrows rising. "And you're their chief medical advisor?" "According to them." I took a sip of my coffee. "First I heard about it was in their brochure." "Your brother's the CEO?" "Yes." She looked up at me. "Family drama?" "Family consequences," I corrected. "There's more. Check the investor documents." She swiped through more pages, then stopped. "They're claiming FDA approval pending," which they don't have, and won't get because their algorithm is basically WebMD with prettier graphics. "And you know this how?" I pulled out one more document, an internal email I'd gotten from Juan, Ray's childhood friend turned business partner. "Because their tech lead sent me this, asking for help making their claims more medically accurate." Danielle read the email, her eyes widening. "This is pretty damning." "That's why I came to you." I leaned forward. "Your articles about health tech fraud get results, and this needs results." She studied me for a long moment. "You understand what this will do to your brother's company, his reputation?" "Perfectly." "And you're okay with that?" I thought about the mortgage, about years of manipulation. More than okay. My phone buzzed. Another text from Mom. "Missing you at family dinner? Ray has big news about the company." I turned the phone face down. "One more thing," I said, pulling out a final document. "Their investor pitch claims they have a partnership with Memorial Hospital. They don't. I work there. I checked." Danielle's eyes lit up. "Now that's interesting." She made some notes. "I'll need to verify everything independently, of course." "Of course." I stood up. "One condition, I remain anonymous, at least initially." "Understood." She gathered her materials. "This will take a few days to fact-check, but if everything checks out," she smiled, "well, let's just say Medimatch might have a very interesting week ahead." I was halfway home when Erin called. "Ray's looking for you," she said without preamble. "He stopped by my office." "What did he want?" "Said he needs to talk about the company. Seemed nervous." She paused. "What did you do?" "Had coffee with a journalist." "Wendy!" Her voice was worried. "Are you sure about this?" I pulled into my driveway, noticing Ray's car parked on the street. "Very sure." "He's at your house, isn't he?" "Yep." "Want me to come over?" "No," I said, watching Ray pace on my porch. "I can handle this." I ended the call and got out of my car. Ray's face was flushed, his designer shirt wrinkled. "Where have you been?" he demanded. "I've been calling all day." "Working." I unlocked my front door, like most people do. He followed me inside. "We need to talk about Medimatch." "Oh?" I kept my voice neutral. "What about it?" "Some reporter's been asking questions about our medical advisory board." I set my keys down. "Interesting." "Wendy," his voice cracked slightly, "if anyone starts digging, I know I should have asked before using your credentials, but what?" I turned to face him. "But you thought I wouldn't mind? Or you thought I wouldn't find out? It's not like that. I needed credibility for the investors. And your family." "Family?" I repeated. "Like when Mum and Dad remortgaged the house I just paid off to fund your startup." He had the grace to look uncomfortable. "That was their choice. And this is mine." I pulled out my phone, showing him Danielle's business card. "I had coffee with her today." The colour drained from his face. You're the one who contacted her. "Consider it my contribution to Medimatch's transparency efforts." "You can't do this!" He stepped forward, desperate. "The investors, if this gets out..." "Then what?" I met his gaze steadily. "They'll find out you lied, that you committed fraud. That sounds like a you problem, Ray. Mum and Dad will lose everything." "They already made that choice." I opened my front door. "Now get out. Wendy, please, get out." He left, shoulders slumped. Through the window, I watched him sit in his car for a long time before driving away. My phone buzzed with a text from Danielle. Story runs Monday. You might want to prepare for fallout. I smiled, remembering Dad's words. We don't owe you explanations. Well, now they'd owe explanations to everyone. The article dropped at 6 a.m. Monday morning. By 6:05, my phone was exploding with notifications. I sat in my kitchen, drinking coffee, watching it all unfold like a perfectly choreographed dance. Health tech startup Medimatch caught in credentialing scandal, screamed the headline. Danielle had done her job well. The article was devastating in its precision. Mum called first, then Dad, then Ray, 3 times in succession. I let them all go to voicemail. At 8 a.m, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Dad standing there, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Did you do this? He asked without preamble. Come in, I said, stepping aside. Coffee? Damn it, Wendy, answer me. His voice shook. Did you go to that reporter? I poured myself another cup of coffee. Yes. He sank into a kitchen chair. Why? Really? I leaned against the counter. You want to talk about why? How about we talk about my name being used without my consent? Or the investors you convinced to mortgage their futures on Ray's lies? He's your brother, and I'm your daughter. The words exploded out of me. But that didn't stop you from taking everything I gave you and handing it to him. My phone buzzed again. A text from Juan. Investors are pulling out. What the hell happened? Dad's phone rang. Mum, according to the screen. He answered on speaker. Jean. Her voice was panicked. Ray just got a call from the FDA. They're launching an investigation. I couldn't help but smile. The FDA had been my anonymous tip too. Anne, I'm with Wendy, Dad said. She's admitted to going to the press. Wendy? Mum's voice cracked. How could you do this to your brother? The same way you did it to me, I replied calmly, without explanation or apology. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Ray, looking like he hadn't slept. The investors want their money back, he said, pushing past me into the house. All of them, even the early ones. That sounds expensive, I observed. He whirled on me. This is your fault. You've ruined everything. No, I corrected him. I exposed everything. You ruined it yourself when you decided to commit fraud. It wasn't fraud. It was creative marketing. Tell that to the FDA, I said, and the investors, and Memorial Hospital's legal team. Dad stood up. We can fix this. We'll remortgage the house again. With what equity? I cut in. You already leveraged everything for his first round of funding. My phone buzzed with an email notification from my lawyer confirming he'd filed the legal notice about my unauthorised credentials. What's that? Ray asked, watching me read. My lawyer, I said, filing notice that since my name and credentials were used fraudulently, I may be seeking damages. The colour drained from Dad's face. Damages? From the company and its officers. I looked directly at Ray. That's you, little brother. You can't sue me, Ray whispered. I'm family. Family? I laughed. Family doesn't steal identities. Family doesn't commit fraud. Family doesn't take someone's sacrifice and turn it into leverage for someone else's dreams. Mum's voice came through Dad's phone, still on speaker. Wendy, please, we can work this out. Like we worked out the mortgage, I asked. Or like we worked out Ray's car loan, or his insurance, or any of the 1,000 other times you took advantage of my help. You went too far, Dad said, his voice hard. I met his gaze steadily. No, you just never saw how far I could go. Ray's phone rang. Juan again. He answered, his face growing paler with each second. The tech team is quitting, he said after hanging up. They're afraid of legal exposure. Smart of them, I noted. Please, Ray turned to me. Help me fix this. I looked at my brother, really looked at him. The designer clothes bought with investor money. The expensive watch. The entitled assumption that I would clean up his mess, just like always. No, I said simply. What? No, I repeated. I'm not helping. I'm not fixing this. I'm not covering for you. Not anymore. Dad's phone buzzed with a text. He read it, his face grim. The bank wants to discuss the mortgage, he said. Today. Then you should go, I replied, opening my front door. All of you. They left one by one, Ray first, then Dad. Mum's voice on the phone begged me to reconsider until Dad finally hung up. Standing in my quiet house, I picked up my phone and dialed. Erin, it's done. The match is lit. I paused, looking at the family photo still hanging on my wall. Time to watch it burn. The next 2 weeks unfolded like a slow-motion car crash. I watched it all from a distance, declining calls, ignoring texts, and focusing on my work at the hospital. But news travelled fast in our small community. Did you see? Erin texted me one morning. One suing Ray for misappropriation of funds. I had seen. Just like I'd seen the investors' lawsuit, the FDA investigation notice, and the local business journal's scathing follow-up piece. My phone lit up with Mum's number for the third time that day. This time something made me answer. Mum? Wendy. Her voice was shaky. I'm at the emergency room. My nurse training kicked in automatically. What happened? Chest pains. The doctor says it's probably stress-related, but... She paused. Could you come, please? I closed my eyes, counting to 10. Which hospital? Memorial. Of course. My hospital. Where I worked. Where she knew I couldn't ignore her. 20 minutes later, I stood outside her curtained bay in the ER reading her chart. Anxiety attack. Blood pressure through the roof. Your daughter's here, I heard the nurse say. Oh, thank God, Mum's voice trembled. Wendy, honey. I pulled back the curtain. She looked small in the hospital bed, her face pale against the white sheets. Your blood pressure is 180/95, I said, keeping my voice professional. When did you last take your medication? We ran out. The pharmacy wouldn't refill without payment, because I'd removed them from my insurance. Another consequence. The doctor's ordering something for anxiety, I said. You should feel better soon. Wendy, she reached for my hand. Please, we need help. The bank. They're talking foreclosure. Ray's being sued. Your father can't sleep. Stop! I pulled my hand away. Just stop! But we're family. Family? I laughed bitterly. Was it family when you remortgaged the house I paid for? Was it family when Ray stole my credentials? Was it family when Dad said they didn't owe me explanations? A nurse appeared with medication. I stepped back, letting her work. Ray's living in the basement now, Mum said after the nurse left. He had to sell his car. Juan's lawyers took everything else. That sounds like Ray's problem. He's your brother, and I'm your daughter. The words echoed in the small space. But that never seemed to matter before. My pager buzzed, a genuine emergency in another part of the hospital. Your blood pressure should stabilise soon, I said, returning to professional mode. The doctor will discharge you when it does. Wendy, please! I was already walking away. Later that night, my doorbell rang. It was Ray, looking nothing like the confident start-up CEO he'd been a month ago. I need money, he said without preamble. Just 2,000. For lawyers. No. Come on, sis. I'm desperate here. Like I was desperate when you stole my credentials? I crossed my arms. Or like Mum was desperate for attention today. He had the grace to look ashamed. That was low of her. Learned from the best, didn't she? Juan's going to take everything, he said. The investors too. I'll be ruined. You ruined yourself, Ray. I just exposed it. My phone buzzed, a text from Dad. Your mother's home. No thanks to you. I showed Ray the message. See? Still my fault somehow. Dad's scared, Ray said. We all are. Everything's falling apart. Yes, I agreed. It is. We stood in silence for a moment, the porch light casting shadows on his face. I never meant, he started. Yes, you did, I cut him off. You meant every bit of it. You just never thought you'd face consequences. What do you want from us? He asked finally. Nothing, I replied. Not anymore. Another text buzzed through from the hospital administrator. Congratulations on the position in Boston. When can you start? Ray saw the message. You're leaving. Got a better offer, better hospital, better pay. I smiled. No family strings attached. But what about us? What about you? I stepped back inside. Figure it out yourself. I'm done being the family safety net. Wendy. I closed the door on whatever he was going to say next. Through the window, I watched him stand there for a long moment before walking away, shoulders slumped, looking older than his years. My phone buzzed one more time. Erin. Mum called me looking for you. You okay? I texted back. Better than okay. Boston job is confirmed. Help me pack next weekend? Her response was immediate. Hell yes. Time for a fresh start. I looked around my house, at the family photos I'd already taken down, the boxes I'd started packing, the life I was preparing to leave behind. They'd taught me about family, about loyalty, about sacrifice. Now they could learn about consequences. The subpoena arrived on a Tuesday. I'd been expecting it, Ray's last desperate attempt to shift blame. I handed it straight to my lawyer without even breaking stride. He's claiming you were an informal advisor, my lawyer said over lunch. Says you knew about the company's claims and tacitly approved them. I pulled out my phone, showing her the screenshots. Every email where I explicitly told him not to use my name. Every text where I demanded he remove my credentials, all dated months before the exposé. This is good, she nodded. Very good. My phone buzzed. Celeste calling. I answered, putting it on speaker. Have you seen the local business journal? She asked without preamble. Not yet. Ray's on the front page. Local tech startups' spectacular fall. A story of fraud and family betrayal. I smiled. Sounds accurate. Wendy, Celeste's voice softened. I never would have thought family could do that to each other. I didn't either, I replied, until they did it first. After lunch, I drove past my parents' house. My old sanctuary turned battlefield. The lawn needed mowing. Ray's beaten-up backup car sat in the driveway, looking as defeated as its owner. A figure stood at the window, Mom, watching me drive by. I didn't slow down. Back at my place, Erin was waiting with packing boxes. Your mom called me again, she said, taping up a box. Wanted to know if you'd received the subpoena. Of course she did. I started wrapping photos in newspaper. What did you tell her? That she should try asking you herself. Erin paused. She said she's tried. Said you've blocked their numbers. I did. They're falling apart, you know. The whole family. I carefully wrapped the last photo, my nursing school graduation. They're facing consequences. There's a difference. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Danielle Fox standing on my porch. Mind if I come in? She asked when I opened the door. I have something you might want to see. She pulled out her laptop, opening a draft article. Juan sent me these. Internal emails showing Ray knew exactly what he was doing with your credentials. He even joked about it to investors. I read through them, my hands steady despite the rage building inside me. When does this run? Tomorrow. She watched me carefully. You sure you don't want to go on record now? Tell your side? No, I said. The emails tell enough. After Danielle left, Erin helped me pack until evening. We were almost done when my phone rang, an unknown number. Ms. Sherman? A formal voice asked. This is Marcus from First National Bank. We're calling about the mortgage on 1542 Oak Street, my parents' address. They're 3 months behind, Marcus continued. As you've made previous payments, we wanted to inform you. I'm not involved with that property anymore, I cut in. You'll need to speak with the owners directly. After hanging up, I sat heavily on my couch. You okay? Erin asked. They're going to lose the house, I said. The house I paid off. The house they remortgaged for Ray. They're going to lose it. And how do you feel about that? Before I could answer, my doorbell rang again. This time it was Dad. You need to fix this, he said as soon as I opened the door. Ray's being destroyed. Your mother's sick with worry. The bank... No, I said simply. What? No, I don't need to fix this. I'm not going to fix this. I'm your father. Really? I stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind me. Because when I paid off your mortgage, you were just the homeowner. When I asked about the new loan, you were just the decision maker. When I questioned Ray's fraud, you were just his defender. That's not fair. Fair, I laughed. You want to talk about fair? How about stealing 5 years of my life and using it to fund Ray's lies? Was that fair? We're losing everything, he said quietly. No, I corrected him. You're losing what you gambled. There's a difference. Jean? Mum's voice called from their car parked on the street. Is she going to help? Dad looked at me one last time. Are you? I thought about the subpoena, the emails, the years of manipulation. No, I said, I'm not. He walked away without another word. I watched their car disappear down the street, then went back inside where Erin was pretending she hadn't heard everything. Last box, she said, holding up my nursing awards. Want these wrapped? I took the awards, feeling their weight. achievements I'd earned while supporting a family that never supported me back. No, I said, placing them carefully in the box. I want them displayed in my new office in Boston, where they'd remind me daily that I'd finally chosen myself. KWC Estates, LLC, I said into the phone, my voice professionally neutral. Yes, I understand you're interested in the property on Oak Street. I sat in my lawyer's office, finalising the paperwork. Through careful manoeuvring and a private investor friend of Erin's, I'd managed to buy my parents' defaulted mortgage debt through a shell company. The current tenants will remain, I told the bank representative, with adjusted rental terms, of course. After hanging up, my lawyer slid the final document across her desk. You're sure about this? I signed without hesitation. Absolutely. They'll figure it out eventually, she warned. Shell company or not, they'll realise who bought the debt. By then, it won't matter. My phone buzzed, a text from Ray. Bank says someone bought the mortgage. Please tell me it was you. We can work something out. I deleted it without responding. The next morning, I drove past the house again. The foreclosure sign was being replaced with a new one. Property of KWC Estates, LLC. Dad stood on the porch, watching the change with slumped shoulders. My phone rang. Mum. The bank sold our mortgage, she said when I answered. We don't know who to... We can't reach Wendy. We need help. Have you considered downsizing? I kept my voice professionally detached. There are nice apartments on the west side of town. Apartments? She sounded scandalised. This is our home. No, I corrected her. It's a property you borrowed against, and now someone else owns that debt. But where will Ray live? I laughed. Still worried about Ray, even now? He's your brother. Goodbye, Mum. An hour later, I met with the property management company I'd hired. Rent will increase to market rate, I instructed. No exceptions, no delays. If they can't pay, start eviction proceedings. The current tenants... The manager hesitated. They're your family, right? No, I said firmly. They're tenants who made poor financial decisions. Treat them accordingly. That evening, Erin came over with wine and pizza. Your mum called me again, she said, pouring glasses. They got the new rental agreement today. She was crying. Let me guess. They can't afford it. Ray's unemployment ran out. Your dad's pension barely covers utilities. She studied me. You're really going to make them pay market rate? Why shouldn't I? I took a sip of wine. They took my gift and turned it into Ray's gambling chip. Now they can pay what everyone else pays. My phone buzzed. Dad this time. The rent increase, he said when I answered. It's impossible. We can't... Market rate is market rate, I cut in. The new owners have been very clear. New owners? His voice sharpened. Who are they? We can't even get a name, just some LLC. That sounds frustrating, I said blandly. Like when someone makes major financial decisions without consulting others involved. A long pause. Then, it's you, isn't it? You bought the mortgage. KWC Estates LLC bought the mortgage, I corrected. I suggest you direct any questions to the property manager. Damn it, Wendy. We're your family. No, I said quietly. Your tenants who are late on their first payment. I'd suggest fixing that before eviction proceedings begin. I hung up as Erin watched me with wide eyes. Ice cold, she said admiringly. Learned from the best. I reached for my laptop. Want to help me book flights to Boston? I have interviews next week. My phone buzzed again. Ray. Just saw the rental agreement, he texted. This is cruel, I typed back. Like using my credentials without permission? Like taking advantage of my sacrifices? That kind of cruel? I'm your brother. No, I replied. You're a basement tenant who's behind on rent. I blocked his number before he could respond. Later that night, I drove past the house one last time. Lights burned in every window. Probably another family meeting about how to handle their cruel, ungrateful daughter. But I wasn't their daughter anymore. I wasn't their safety net, their ATM, their convenient solution to every problem. I was their landlord. And landlords didn't accept excuses instead of rent. My phone buzzed with an email from the property manager. Tenants requesting meeting to discuss payment plan. I replied with what Dad had once told me. No explanations needed. Market rate is market rate. Then I drove home, to my half-packed house, to my boxes labelled Boston, to my future that had nothing to do with being anyone's saviour. They taught me about property values. Now they could learn about paying the price. Last box, Erin announced, setting it down in my new Boston apartment. Though I still can't believe you only brought 8 boxes total. Clean breaks require light packing, I said, opening the window to let in the autumn breeze. The view of the Charles River made me smile, so different from my old street with its weight of memories. My phone buzzed. The property manager back home. Your parents made partial rent, she reported. Still short $400. Standard procedure then, I replied. Send the notice. Erin watched me hang up. You really aren't going to give them any breaks, are you? They never gave me any. My laptop pinged with an email notification. Danielle Fox requesting a follow-up interview. Still no, I typed back. But thanks for asking. Coffee? Erin held up 2 mugs. Before I head to the airport. We sat by the window, watching boats on the river, when my phone buzzed again. Ray. Please, his text read. Just $2,000 to stay afloat. Last time I'll ask. I showed Erin the message. Want to bet? No bet, she laughed. He'll ask again next week. Not if I can help it. I blocked his new number. You know what's weird? Erin said after a moment. You don't seem happy about any of this. Not really. I considered her words, watching a sailboat cut through the water below. It doesn't feel triumphant, I admitted. It just feels fair. Fair enough to be worth it. Before I could answer, my phone rang, the property manager again. Your father's here in my office, she said. Insisting on speaking to the owner? I sighed. Put him on. Wendy, Dad's voice was rough. We need to talk about this, face to face. No, we don't. Your mother cries every night. Ray's talking about moving to his friend's couch. This house, it's all we have left. Had, I corrected. It's all you had left, before you leveraged it for Ray's dreams instead of protecting it with mine. We were wrong, he said quietly. Is that what you want to hear? We were wrong. What I wanted to hear was that 5 years ago, when I handed you that cheque. What I wanted to hear was 3 months ago, when I discovered the truth. I paused. Now? Now I just want my rent on time. I hung up, turning to find Erin watching me with a strange expression. What? You really did it, she said. You really broke free. Free? I laughed. Is that what this feels like? Doesn't it? I walked to one of the boxes, pulling out my nursing awards. One by one, I placed them on the windowsill where the morning sun would hit them. No, I said finally. It feels like learning, like finally understanding what they taught me all along. Which was? That loyalty isn't servitude, that love isn't a blank cheque, that family... I placed the last award, adjusting it slightly. Family is what you do, not what you're born into. My phone buzzed one last time. Mom. We're having dinner tonight, her text read. Your empty chair. It hurts to look at. I typed back. Then maybe you finally understand how I felt, watching you hand Ray everything I worked for. Then I turned off my phone. Help me unpack? I asked Erin, before your flight. We worked in comfortable silence until she had to leave. At the door, she hugged me tight. You good? She asked. I thought about the property manager's reports, about Ray's desperate texts, about Mom's empty chair. I'm free, I said. Maybe that's better than good. After she left, I stood at my window, watching the river flow. My phone lay silent on the counter, probably filling with more messages I wouldn't answer. In the distance, a hospital helicopter landed at Mass General, my new workplace, my new life, my new start. My laptop pinged with an email from the property manager. Rent notice delivered. Mr. Sherman says to tell you we're still family. I typed 2 words in response. No explanations. Then I closed my laptop and unpacked my last box, my nursing school graduation photo. I'd kept it not for the memory, but for the reminder. That girl who smiled so hopefully had learned her lessons well. Just not the ones they'd meant to teach. I placed the photo face down in a drawer. Some memories weren't meant to be displayed. Some lessons weren't meant to be forgotten. They'd taught me loyalty. I'd learned not to confuse it with servitude. And that, more than revenge or justice or even freedom, was worth every box I'd packed and every bridge I'd burned. That was the real inheritance they'd given me. And unlike their house, it was one I'd keep.